Over 20 years ago, Alex Jones created the media platform called Infowars, and in the decades since, it's grown into a truly remarkable institution with over 200 radio affiliates, tens of millions of unique website visitors monthly, and a 24/7 live news TV channel broadcasting from state-of-the-art studios in Austin, Texas. Infowars has become the most trusted independent news source in the country, dedicated to delivering breaking news, live coverage of special events, and exclusive reports you won't find anywhere else. While the old guard media struggles to maintain supremacy in a landscape rocked by innovation and technology, Infowars has been at the forefront of the information revolution. From 8 million radio listeners, over 2 million YouTube subscribers, or the billions of views of our online content, Infowars proves dominant in every facet of media we enter. For the hardest-hitting reports, uncompromising analysis, for high-profile interviews and bombshell revelations, accept no substitutes. Demand truth. Demand Infowars. Infowars. Tomorrow's news today.
Infowars is the cutting edge of shattering paradigms, of expanding free thought. And now, to thank all of the billions of people that have watched our reports on YouTube, we are starting something brand new. 50% off on our best-selling nootropic, Brain Force, for viewers of the Alex Jones channels right here on YouTube. That's 50% off one of the best-selling nootropics on the market. We take the very best organic ingredients that boost our brain, our mental capacity in a healthy way, and bring it to you at an already low price at 50% off. It is $25 to $30 under the price of leading competitors that aren't even as good. So, InfoWarsStore.com, 50% off on our #1 best-selling product, Brain Force, with promo code ALEX. Again, for YouTube viewers, 50% off at InfoWarsStore.com with promo code ALEX on Brain Force. Check it out today, and please click the notifications and also subscribe if you aren't following us on one of our major channels that have now reached more than 5 billion people. Thanks to all of you.
We are drugged out. We are following other people's opinions. We are controlled by the media. And today it all changes.
Kanye West stormed the facility yesterday. He went into TMZ, and TMZ edited out of context what he'd really said. We now have the full interview, and we're going to be playing what he actually said, so it's congruent, and so it's connected to the overall thought. And then we're going to play the edited pieces, which were obviously put out to get more attention. So that is clearly what was done. And, of course, the media is ignoring him, saying we're drugged, we're mind-controlled, we're all under basic attack. We need to break free of it and understand this is a prison of the mind they're using against us. It's even in the WikiLeaks that they want racial division to control us. Doesn't mean there's not racial division. Doesn't mean that's not real. It's saying they're exacerbating it. They're using it to lead us like a big bull. Even though, you know, we weigh 2,000 pounds, the globalists weigh about 20 pounds metaphysically, but they've got us with a big ring in our nose, leading us around through rubbing salt in the wound in a big way. And it was, of course, one of the most famous ladies that ran the Underground Railroad with the white abolitionist. I freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed 1,000 more if only they'd known they were slaves. Harriet Tubman. And that's what she kept saying is, you're acting like slaves. Well, there were white slaves in Europe at that time. They were called feudal serfs, but they were almost in as bad a shape as black slaves here. They could be killed by their masters if they disobeyed orders. It's horrible. And it was Christianity that over 1,000 years ended that. So Candace Owens put out that powerful tweet. Kanye West obviously retweeted it. And that is what Kanye West is saying. And I just really admire him. He has a whole hell of a lot of courage, and we really appreciate what he's doing. That said, there is a lot of other news that is mega massive today. No one is giving this any coverage but Infowars. The Daily Mail is reporting on it and doing a great job. But they're not giving you the rest of the story. Obama's favorite place to stay, according to articles I've read, is Richard Branson's private island that has a giant 30,000 square foot facility on it. And it turns out the Nexium sex cult stayed there many times and had large parties with Branson, according to the press reports. So that's the big tie together. Daily Mail says sex cult led by Smallville actress Allison Mack held wild parties on Richard Branson's private Caribbean island in a bid to recruit the billionaire. Well, there's a big detailed report, the photos, the videos, it's all here, the admissions of these brainwashed women being sent out there to be used as sex slaves and celebrity women being used to lure them in. But missing from this is Obama. Missing from this is the real headline: Obama's favorite vacation place is Richard Branson's private island where Nexium sex cult events are held. Just like we see Pedo Island with Epstein and the Clintons and Harvey Weinstein and all of the usual suspects. So we have that incredible news. Then we have the really serious news. Democrats openly, this is mainstream news, announced the plan to begin impeachment of the president, and that's going to be their 2018 official campaign slogan is impeach Trump. Should be stop America's recovery, launch a race war, derail things for George Soros. That's coming up. Impeachment looms large in White House midterm plans, The Hill reporting. And Zuckerberg announces plans to completely ban conservatives from Facebook. You cannot make this up. And boy is taken out of the word Boy Scouts. Stay with us. We'll be back. Well, I tend to open these broadcasts a lot of times by saying, wow, our plate is full. But particularly today, things are just ultra critical. And we are going to be laying it all out. Now, let me just try to pull back here and get focused and just lay out how massive this is. This is up on Infowars.com. It's up at newswars.com. It's up at prisonplanet.com from the great folks at zerohedge.com. And then it links directly to NBC News and other publications telling you exactly what I said the last few days. Israel is planning to strike Iran. They're trying to get U.S. support right now. I talked to several Pentagon sources last night. I talked to a SpaceX source who was going to be joining us on the broadcast today, but lawyers got involved and they're holding off. The individual may fly here in the next 2 weeks to be in studio with us so they can reveal who they are and some of the information they have. But Israel could hit, according to this source and then two others I called last night, Tehran's secret nuclear weapons program, which undoubtedly exists. That's not debatable. Bibi's not lying about that. Israel has told the U.S. military, we are locked and loaded and may hit Iran in the next 72 hours. All of Trump's generals think it's a bad idea. The Pentagon says don't do it. Why do you think they're talking to me? And they're trying to get people like Sean Hannity and Michael Savage and Rush Limbaugh and others to be more like Rand Paul and not push us to the brink of what could trigger a larger war, not just with Iran, but also with Russia. And you've seen all the stuff going on that scene. So this is massive. This is big. And it ties into Kanye West. Now, I'm going to reveal some information here on air that I was already partially aware of, but then talking to Zach, who, again, is a known intelligence source to us. We know his name, who he is, where he is his bona fides, his facts, his bones. Latin for bones, bona fides. And we got the bones. We got the facts. We got the guts. And my other sources, I'm going to reveal to you at the bottom of the hour that Kanye West went to Trump Tower over a year ago when he was running for office and then when President Trump was president-elect, and basically said, whatever you need, I'm in. And has been coordinating with the president a lot of what you've seen. And so when you see Kanye doing all this, he's doing this as a soldier, sacrificing himself to be attacked and demonized, just like Trump's done. And Kanye's been let in on the big plan. And he's on board, a real man. Because we're trying to go interplanetary here, folks. We're trying to get off the planet. We're trying to stop killing each other over what religion we are or what color we are, all this stuff. And understand the globalists are using that to control us. Doesn't mean there aren't still fights. Doesn't mean we don't have differences. Doesn't mean a lot of that stuff's real. But we got to get it all out in the open and talk about fixing it. It'll never be a utopia, but ironing it out. Still going to have some wrinkles in that jacket, even though you took it to the cleaners. But it's ironed out. So Kanye West, you notice now, is more on fire. He's more confident than he's ever been because he's doing the right thing and where his destiny is and where his soul is. And that's why the establishment is editing what he said, editing what he's done to try to say he says blacks should never have been slaves. It was their choice. No, he's saying we're all slaves now, just like we were slaves previously. And my identity is not being a slave as a black person. You think black person slave. I don't think that, but a lot of folks do. That's what he said. And he said, you think Jew, you think Holocaust. Well, yeah, because Hollywood's made probably 1,000+ movies. Guys, search engine, the number of Holocaust-related movies, it's got to be 1,000. I mean, it's like 100 big ones a year. It's like you go look at the movies, and I feel assaulted by Nazis. I'm sick of watching Nazis. I look at Hitler, my stomach crawls, and the uniforms, but then also all the stuff about World War II. I know all about it. And it's just a way to assault people's minds and have the whole leftist Hollywood model control Jews to make them see themselves as victims as well, and their identity is what Hitler did. Hitler killed millions of Poles. He killed 20 million Russians. He killed hundreds of thousands of American citizens. He killed a bunch of Jews. It was terrible, particularly targeted them. The point is that Japan's identity is not their emperor and their war crimes they committed. They're buddies with South Korea now. They've moved on. So it's the opening of these old wounds that are engaged in, and then they use the diversion of Jews' identity as the Holocaust, when it's so much bigger, and blacks' identity is slavery here. Not slavery going on in a couple countries in Africa under Islam, not hundreds of thousands of women sold into sex slavery, just in Africa over the last few years during the whole Western-funded Arab Spring. Not the articles I have here in front of me were 340+ dead little girls this year were found in one Pakistan trash dump with their heads beat in. And they have a little girl, and the family stands around and says, we don't want girls. And the other daughters and the mother, with the husbands, join in with rocks. Because they say that's biblical, and you put the baby in the corner, and you throw rocks at them till they die. You bash your daughter's brains out. That's in Reuters. That's the Daily Mail, you name it. Where are those little girls under Islam? Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds found in each of the big trash dumps. Nobody's speaking for them. It's a blip. That's going on now and needs to stop. That's slavery. China's killing millions of girls a year. If they catch you with a little girl they didn't know about, they come and put them in a bucket of water. Then they sell their organs. In fact, now they grab little kids that people hide, take them, take their organs, and then kill them. They keep you alive on life support, take the organs, put them on an airplane, fly them to Japan. Those are the real slavery. My God, can you imagine if there was some country where they were selling black people's organs? You'd be hearing about it. Because we've been taught only white on black crime happens so that we don't see everything else. It's like the environmental movement only tells you about carbon dioxide and says it's a deadly gas because it's what plants use to breathe and part of the carbon cycle. But genetic engineering, everything else that's killing the earth, none of that's a problem because it's all diverted. Yeah, Researchers estimate the number of missing girls in China to be 80 million. But a lot of people hide the little girls. And so now they say they found millions and millions, we've got an article up on screen for TV viewers, of little girls people hid. Oh, like Anne Frank hid in the basement from the Nazis for a couple years but finally got grabbed. So heart-wrenching when I read it in 7th grade. Anne Frank's diary. What about the movies about that? Oh, China doesn't allow that. China owns Hollywood now, has a controlling interest. And so you don't see movies about millions of little girls hidden, sleeping under the floorboards in rural homes like animals because they'll be killed by the communist Chinese. Where are the feminists? 0, 0, 0, 0. And if Kanye starts talking about that, he will trump everything they've done and dominate them. So when we come back, though, we've got other news. The Democrats have announced a plan to impeach Trump. It's serious. They're going to run on it. Obama has been caught going to Richard Branson's island, now tied to the Nexium sex cult. It's all coming up. So we have a lot of incredible news. The Democrats are announcing plans to officially run on impeaching Trump in the midterm elections happening in just 4 or 5 months here in the United States in November. That is ultra massive. Facebook's announced a plan to completely ban all conservatives from Facebook. This is mainstream news. You cannot make this up. Facebook is asking every poster, is this hate speech? That's the beginning of banning all speech. And Facebook is now ranking news organizations based on what the Southern Poverty Law Center and ADL say. We knew that was coming, but the purge has intensified. And I've got the Kanye West information. I've got Pompeo sworn in just minutes ago as Secretary of State. I've got Boy Scouts remove the word boy. It's all happening. Apple has moved to China and has now announced record profits. It's moving to China. That's CNBC's headline. Apple CEO Tim Cook takes a victory lap after move to China and after their stock and revenue rockets on strength of iPhone X. So that's right. Communist Chinese government now has full control of the iCloud and of your Apple ID. That was in Reuters 2 months ago. And they said, that's just the way it is, Apple said. In China, the government runs everything. And Chinese officials and intelligence now run Apple. And they're tax exempt. And they can break any law they want. And Apple executives are like gods in China. And I wanted to raise this before I get into Kanye West and the video clips of him edited at TMZ and what he really said. Because I have several news articles that nexus in together. Here's one that's been picked up by Der Spiegel, the Daily Mail, you name it. Hundreds of dead newborn girls have been found dumped in garbage piles in Pakistan over the last year, in one trash dump alone, as a cultural preference for boys drives more parents to murder babies. And it says that they put the baby in the corner and then they stone it to death. And under Stockholm Syndrome, the mothers usually go over and help beat the brains out because girls aren't worth anything. Now, you're not going to hear any feminist groups talk about that. In fact, Linda Saussure, that leads the Soros-funded women's marches, her mother calls for genital mutilation. She said a few months ago when women in Iran were organically taking their hijabs off saying we want freedom, she said, stop grandstanding, keep your hijabs on, basically. Now, as we segue into CBS News, let's tie this together for everybody. China assigns, let's tie China, Pakistan into the United States and Kanye West. China assigns every citizen a social credit score to identify who is and who isn't trustworthy. And with that social score, if you're not a good globalist that ties into your work, your internet, everything, your smartphone, you then can't buy or sell or travel and basically starve to death. There are people starving to death all over the place in China. Now, that ties into this Washington Post article from 2 years ago that it's estimated that 60 to 80 million girls were either aborted or killed at birth, in some cases grabbed up to a year old and taken for medical experiments. That's mainstream news. And that's China's admission. And they have mobile execution vans, up to a dozen in each major city. That's mainstream news as well. Pull it up. Type in China mobile execution vans. They brag about them. Imagine a science fiction movie like that. But they won't make it. It's happening now. For 20 years, they've had mobile execution vans. I first reported that in 1998. Falun Gong and their Epoch Times reported on it. They were the ones being grabbed Buddhist and being harvested. They put their money together worldwide and fought back. No one cares. There are plenty of movies about blacks being slaves, though. And it's not lessening that, but that's it. Jews were in concentration camps, Hitler, and blacks were slaves. That's it worldwide. They have worldwide surveys. People go, blacks and Jews. And then see, no massive atrocity matters after that because Hollywood runs the world. China's bought up Hollywood. And so it doesn't matter if peaceful Buddhists and Christians are having their organs harvested every hour, they estimate. Millions have been killed. It doesn't matter because it's not trendy. So researchers may have found many of China's millions of missing girls. And it says the parents didn't register them and hid them mainly in rural villages. Now, isn't that beautiful that they fought back and didn't let their little girls get killed or sold for body parts? China's big export is cosmetic collagen from melted down children. I first reported that in the U.S. 23 years ago. It's now mainstream news. You heard me right. Children's fat is processed down into pills that women all over the world pop and have injected into their lips. Oh, yeah, a lot of that premium collagen you're getting, it's dead baby fat. But see, that's not slavery to kill a baby because that's Asian. Asians, and they can't be under tyranny. Only America, only white people are racist. All evil is white people. And see, once you have that idea, you can murder and kill and have the UN go in and just slaughter whole African villages to take their land and then even put it in the news like it's no big deal because it's okay. Yeah, there it is. Aborted fetuses used in beauty creams. That's from 10 years ago. Like I told you. It's the Washington Times. Again, we're TV and radio. If you're a radio listener, they just search engine everything I say, and it's right there. Researchers may have found many of the millions of missing. And talk about Anne Frank hiding for a couple of years, and the Nazis finally get her, and it made you cry when I was in 7th grade reading it. You know, horrible stuff. We know that went on. George Soros helped go and track down the hidden Jews. That was his job. So he's now, you know, the most wonderful guy in the world, according to the left. This is the sickness of this. But where are the movies about millions of little girls for years hiding? And then their parents get caught, and they don't kill the 3 or 4-year-old. There's still a little bit of humanity left. They send the parents for 8 years forced labor. But where are the condescending, you know, liberals, like out-of-control Puritan preachers getting in our faces, telling us we're evil for our microaggressions, or the word boy and Boy Scouts now removed because it's mother or father's hurtful. Those are all the little microaggressions, all the little, I'm a victim. But meanwhile, no one cares about all the mass murder of the Islamic State, hundreds of thousands of women in sex slavery, thousands of little kids being in sex slavery, murdered, throwing gays off buildings. No one cares because it's not trendy. Hollywood doesn't make movies. In fact, Hollywood makes movies for Netflix, like What Happened on Monday, or to Monday, where in the distant future, in 2073, it's overpopulated, so the government has to kill 6 out of 7 so only 1 girl can live. Then the girls hide. See, the real thing's going on, but you just make a fictional movie about it in some right-wing future where it's going on, not some left-wing current dystopic hell. And then Conway's anti-human for saying we're under current attack, break out of it. Ladies and gentlemen, we are under the control of social engineers. And Kanye West, Donald Trump, Rand Paul, Matt Drudge, many others are trying to break you out of it. Doesn't mean we have all the answers. Doesn't mean we're telling you what to think. But we know from documents and admissions and WikiLeaks what we already suspected. Big corporations are using race, culture, religion, sex to play us off against each other. It doesn't mean that a mob of racists, white or black or whatever, coming up against you isn't a problem. It doesn't mean that stuff's not going on. But it means it's being manipulated and controlled and fanned. Now, next segment, I will get to Kanye West, because the crew's gotten it together. We have unedited what he said about black slavery being a choice, and he meant as all slavery is, and that he didn't want that identity now, versus what the short clip that TMZ edited in and was waiting for. So that's coming up in the next segment. And then I will reveal here on air information I've gotten from multiple sources about Trump and Kanye and what's really going on, so that you understand the courage he's got and what he's doing and why I admire what he's doing. And then I have a bunch of other news I've got to hit. We're going to have in studio, always informative, Steve Quayle, and, of course, Gary Haven, good friends of mine. Cliff Kincaid is going to be popping in, former host of Crossfire on CNN, kind of a Rusophobe, an interesting fellow. He's a good conservative guy, but he's kind of just stuck on that. But he's always interesting, so I want to get him to pop in. And then Candace Owens. Candace Owens, we're going to have an interview with her. She's going to talk Kanye West and a lot more. So look forward to that coming up in the last 30 minutes of the third hour. And then we've got Roger Stone hosting the fourth hour, but I've got more I'm going to cover, so I'll co-host some with Roger. I've got such a full plate. That's going to be coming up. Earlier, if you just joined us, under Islam, Orthodox Islam, we call it radical Islam, but it's the most extreme interpretations of it, which is the orthodoxy. That's what's dominant now. What they claim is the root. So I don't call it radical Islam. I began calling it Orthodox Islam about 4 years ago. A lot of folks have adopted that. It's not radical Islam. There's heretical Islam, people that don't want to be that, kind of their own reformation. That I don't want to see Muslims die. I want to live in peace with them. A lot of them aren't bad people, but it's a follower religion where they almost all vote the same. They're programmed by their imams and by their leaders, and it fits in to take over parliaments of Europe, where a 5, 10, 15% difference can win all the elections. And so they're a tipping point. They already run Europe. Sharia law is going in. Everything I heard people say 20 years ago that I thought was crazy is happening. People are like, Alex, you fought to not have us have a war with Islam. You fought against all these wars. Yeah, because I'm a moral person. And it was even worse than I thought. They had all these wars to put even worse Muslims in charge, to then flood Europe, and then to take our rights because of the Muslim threat. And I've talked to high-level Defense Intelligence Agency, high-level CIA, high-level State Department, and they all concur that's the plan. Well, hell, now it's admitted. So I don't want to be their enemy. Just like I said, I want to transcend all this religion and race fighting. But they've been formed into an army, and they're not transcending it, and they're coming. So that's it. And here in our free societies, we all go 1,000 different directions and are doing whatever and aren't organized. They're organized. They're organized to kill each other and always trying to take over. That's why they're all trying to flee Islam. Islam's always trying to flee what it's set up to take over. The other grass is green, and they come over, eat the grass down to the roots, everything dies, the soil runs off, and the society collapses, literally and metaphysically. It's a plague, like a locust. And it tells you what you want to hear via victimology, just like Islam has recruited so many blacks in this country, saying when Islam launched the modern slave trade 600 years ago, Islam still runs it, and under interpretations of the Quran, they say black people aren't humans. I'm sorry, it says it. In Libya, close to 30,000 blacks were killed, even though they were Muslims, because they're seen as subhuman by the Arabic invaders. Look it up. See, I know history. I know facts, and I'm sorry they're painful for a lot of people, but this is the reality. But let's expand from that. Then I'll get to the other news and the big Kanye exclusive. You've got millions of little girls they found hiding over decades of the 60 to 80 million killed by the government in an official government program. Hitler hid the Holocaust till the end of World War II. The communist Chinese don't hide it. They don't hide they're selling Buddhist and Christians organs by the millions. The millions. No Hollywood movies, no TV shows, no nothing. A few news articles. And then I got to hear about whites running slavery in America when less than 2% had slaves. And again, I'm saying it was a bad thing, but it's mentally ill to only obsess over that. And then, like I said, imagine a movie where you've got millions of little girls hiding from a totalitarian government that's coming to kill you and that you're unregistered. It's also a great human story of resisting. It's like Anne Frank times 5 million. Some estimates are 30 million of the 80 million hit. The Washington Post is admitting this. This is going on. And I said, where are the movies? And Allie, one of our great producers, she said, oh, What Happened to Monday came out on Netflix last year. And they tell you the little girls are going to sleep, and when things aren't overpopulated, they'll bring them back. But, of course, it's a right-wing conservative government doing it like Handmaid's Tale, where the women wear hoods over their heads. No, that's Islam. So it's kind of like a remake of Logan's Run, but this is the eugenics going on. This is the religion of the globalists. This is happening. This is going on. But, see, they make a movie about it. They don't make a real movie where it's going on. Where are the feminists? The feminists are globalist controlled to keep women under their control so women don't stand up. The West is where women got their empowerment. The West is where the women stood up. The West is where we ended slavery. The West is where the fount of resistance came from. But because we have a conscience, we're taught we're the bad ones when it's barbarous evil everywhere else. Here is the trailer of the future that's going on when it's happening now.
For 3 decades, the Child Allocation Bureau has combated catastrophic overpopulation.
This sibling will be processed under authority of the Child Allocation Act.
To build a sustainable future full of hope and possibility.
How do you plan on hiding this?
Starting tomorrow, you will each get to go outside on the day of the week that is your name. Sunday, we'll get to go outside on Sunday, Monday on Monday, Tuesday on Tuesday, and so on. You will all take on the singular identity of Karen Sedman.
Karen, do you have any siblings?
No.
7 siblings surviving to adulthood. It would destroy my credibility.
Miss Setman, step into the van, please.
Monday's not showing up on the grid.
Okay, that's good. You can see the full trailer if you want. But not 7 women, millions of women hiding and living like this, and you don't hear anything because it doesn't fit Hollywood's evil plan, now owned by the communist Chinese, murdering millions of little girls every year still, and Buddhists and Christians. But Kanye, he's the racist. He's the bad man. Look at drudgereport.com. You talk about tomorrow's news today. We've been telling you for a year and a half since he was president-elect, or longer now than a year and a half, that Mueller would always get some type of process charge, finding somebody in the Trump orbit who made a mistake or didn't file taxes right. And that's exactly what happened with Manafort, and the list goes on and on. Well, now, Mueller may subpoena the president. Obstruction key focus. Serious threat. And notice over and over again, oh, it wasn't the president. Oh, don't worry. Oh, they're not coming after you. And Mueller's been caught in Uranium One and covering up for Hillary and Bill and Obama and Comey, perjuring the Congress. All their crimes aren't in focus. It's all special counsel, 4th branch of government. The president is in control of that 3rd branch, the executive. And Mueller's just a runaway special counsel. He's a rogue individual that the media acts like is God and just sycophantically talks about. You know how every 3rd world country ends up falling, right? They always end up falling over and over and over again because they put law enforcement in charge. of some big investigation, a party uses it to demonize the other party, and then once that law enforcement, federal law enforcement group has set the precedent, they remove one president or one prime minister, then they end up being the Praetorian Guard who are in charge of each successive administration, and the administrations become sycophantic. And then within just a few years, generally, maybe a decade at the longest, it becomes a permanent dictatorship of whoever the head of the federal police force was or whoever the head of the military was. And you're the same story of Julius Caesar and Rome and the emperors, and the same story. And that's where this is going with our whole patrician establishment class. And Mueller needs to be indicted, Comey needs to be indicted, but the Justice Department is a bunch of addled insiders. And it's clear that the Attorney General was compromised for whatever it is, I don't know, from the beginning. Now, let's move on to the next issue. Mueller's getting ready to make his big move. That's why The Hill is reporting, and we'll talk about this with Gary Haven, billionaire businessman, really smart guy, pilot, patriot, guy that helped expose what's going on in Haiti. Goes down there routinely with our crew. He's in studio with Steve Quell, who needs no introduction, with the Q-Files, best-selling author, filmmaker, talk show host. We're going to talk about impeachment looms large in White House midterm plans. But first, I'm going to get to Kanye and some of the secrets of what's going on behind the scenes on that. Now, let me make a very important announcement here that's for you and your family, but also for this broadcast, the First Amendment in our critical fight, that I know you don't want to see the globalist win. You stand between us and Soros and Hillary and their entire crime syndicate. You've heard them, you've seen them on national TV say, they're going to get us, they're going to destroy us, they're going to shut us up. Well, not without a fight. So to fund ourselves, we've got T-shirts, books, films, a lot of great products, air filtration, water filtration, all the best. Non-GMO heirloom seeds, the list goes on and on. But DNA Force is bio-PQQ, CoQ10, and other key compounds that cost tens of thousands of dollars for us to buy per kilo. Well, we have been able, because leading medical facilities sell these supplements. They're not prescription, at least here in the U.S., but they're still sold through doctors because the compounds cost a lot and they still mark them up 5 to 7 times. We're only marking this up, well, less than 100% on sale. So it's less than 100% markup right now. This is about a 50% markup right now. That's a big deal. No one does that. This is the super grade bio-PQQ CoQ10. In fact, will you guys give me a bottle of it? Here it is. Of DNA Force, plus with new contracts, new suppliers, new manufacturers, even stronger, more of the bio-PQQ, the CoQ10, all the other key ingredients. We got a bigger contract. We buy more of it. So it's more of what was in it before. So you reformulate under FDA rules. You've got to rename it. So it's plus. There's more in it, and it's less money. So instead of being $150, its new retail is going to be $120. But on sale right now, it's $74.95. This is our flagship, most expensive product. You go to the store and buy little bitty bottles of bio-PQQ that's synthetic, and they're $50, $60 for tiny little capsules that are a third of the dose this has in it. This is a much bigger bottle, bigger dose, and that's just one of the ingredients. This is, from our research, the strongest, most powerful telomere supporting, you name it, product there is out there. The ultimate antioxidant, DNA Force Plus, ladies and gentlemen. Telomere support, and it is $74.95, 50% off out of the gates. 50% off out of the gates. Because we were able to lower the price of the supply by about 35%, so we just added more and then lowered the price. Elva APT, ancient peat apple extract, bio PQQ, PQQ, CoQ10, organic, reishi, astragalus, Membracus root extract, and even more incredible ingredients. Find out for yourself, ladies and gentlemen. After months and months and months of waiting, we finally transformed Cellforce into what is meant to be DNA Force Plus. Using the same great formula to build upon, one of our most popular products ever, DNA Force Plus is the perfect formula to help you support optimal energy levels while adapting your body to handle the daily bombardment of toxins. We know it's important to support your body with the most potent bioavailable antioxidants. That's why DNA Force Plus has exactly what you need to provide your cells with protection. The powerhouse ingredients in DNA Force Plus include, and I listed them earlier, all of these ingredients were chosen for their ability to help heart function, cellular energy production, assist in boosting mental health, assist in supporting healthy skin and blood vessel health, and purport energy production in the body. With DNA Force Plus from Infowars Life, you start working towards taking charge of your body and supporting your long-term heart health and then beyond. Don't miss out on grabbing a bottle of one of our most powerful formulas ever at InfoWarsStore.com. And quite frankly, we sold a lot of this at full price, and then we would have it discounted, and people really loved it and liked it. But when I got a better deal, and we could put more of it in there, the price went way down. We've got some of our products that are $9.95 and are super high quality, but this is one of the expensive ones. But compared to anywhere else trying to get something as close, $300, $400. And then they've got weaker versions. Some clinics sell for $150. This is $74.95 at InfoWarsStore.com. Experience it for yourself. Now, it's admitted in the studies to be connected to nerve regrowth. I chopped my finger off 14 years ago. It was still numb on one side and towards the point because they took them a few hours to get it put back on. It began to tingle, feel really weird, and then the feeling's all back today. And it happened within months of taking DNA Force. I also had an old back injury that had gone away but was still, pretty close to a ruptured disc. I was herniated. I started taking it for a few months, and it started tingling and hurting again, and then got a lot better. So you need to understand, a lot of folks take this, and for a while, they get in pain. The Japanese discovered all this more than 30 years ago. They're obsessed with it. Just the bio-PQQ, the CoQ10, all of it. DNA Force for yourself, especially if you're over the age of 30. But the way it detoxifies, the way it helps everybody, it's amazing. It's now, right now, introductory offer on the new DNA Force Plus, $74 at InfoWarsLife.com. Protect your body from the inside out with DNA Force Plus. Now back after, what's it been, 6 months since we had DNA Force? 5 months? All right, I didn't get into Kanye and his connections to Trump and the inside baseball and SpaceX and Elon Musk. We'll do it all with Gary Haven, the billionaire patriot businessman and filmmaker, and, of course, the great Steve Quayle in studio with us. Millie Weaver will be popping in from the border with California and Mexico. She's on the Mexico side valiantly with Gavin Wentz, doing a great job there where the refugee caravan has arrived. That's all happening. So much more. Please spread the word. Ladies and gentlemen, Candace Owens is coming up later in an interview with us, but this is when she was here with us last December in Austin. Here's some excerpts, and then we'll be right back. Candace Owens is here with us. Millie Weaver, both intrepid reporters, both viral sensations. Thank you for visiting Austin, Texas.
This is my first time.
You're going where eagles dare. What do you think about the situation?
I'm excited. I actually haven't seen a leftist attack yet in Austin. I'm surprised that goes on in Texas at all. So let's go into the jungle.
Well, some of these big high-rise apartment buildings are like alien spaceships from California that landed. So they're the invasion force of the zombies. But you live in free speech?
Sure.
Good. That's awesome. See, there's another guy. Well, come on, talk to us. It's okay. You don't have to run and do it. We don't bite.
When we tried to talk to you,
we don't bite. It's okay.
But you want to cuss from afar.
You're so crazy.
No, here you go. What do you think? And they'll never talk. They'll never talk to you.
That's so weird. That is what liberalism has become. As we say, classical liberalism is dead, and everybody that believes in free thought should now be considering themselves a libertarian, conservative, certainly nowhere
common
near
sense
the left
person.
side.
Yeah.
I mean, that was psychotic. That was just weird. She had
but we lost the bet. We said, would it be racist or Russian? It was no crazy.
It was just...
So that's three. Crazy, Russian, or racist?
Yeah.
Russian, racist, that's 2 R's.
Yeah.
CRR. Crazy, Russian, or racist?
I can get as angry as I want until the point where it starts doing harm to somebody else.
Exactly. Good point.
I took a cue.
All right, you tell them to be safe, though. Thank you.
Well,
all right, listen, Texas has, and even like those are more libertarian type guys, people are actually able to communicate.
What did I tell you, Alex? I told you today on the show. The shift is happening. People are waking up. He doesn't know. He said he doesn't know what to believe. It's exactly what you and I spoke about on the show. He said he doesn't know what to believe, but he knows that he's being lied to, and that is what the message that I am preaching is that right now there are a bunch of liberal refugees, people that once believed in what they were being told. They don't know where to go. It's time for people that are conservatives to wake up, embrace them, despite all of their faults, because globalists are dying, man.
And I agree. I'm lovingly talking to folks.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
It's happening. It's happening.
Hey, look at this guy. No. Hey, communicate. Can't you talk?
Yeah.
Can't you talk, brother?
I can talk.
Here they are. Just tell us what we did. You're saying, F you, I'm a human. I have free speech.
You're an asshole.
Why?
You hate people. You foment.
Alex Jones eat babies. It's Day of the Dead. Look at this.
Let him keep going. This is interesting.
No, but
I want to hear him articulate a
Come on over.
Yes. I want you to articulate a
Alex Jones eats babies.
No. Let him focus.
You bullshit.
Okay, give us an example. You're just
Your
saying
conspiracy theories
give us an
about
example.
9/11.
You give us an example. You're just calling him names. We understand that you know how to curse. Give us a name.
He spews bullshit about 9/11.
You still have not given us an example. Okay, give us an example.
Like your conspiracy theories. I've read them.
Okay, tell us what they are. Once again,
weeks,
we're
months,
telling you.
and years in advance.
Yeah.
What's that, brother?
Things that he has said years ago.
You're not going to give us a thought? You're just going to just repeat
media,
CNN headlines?
and he tells you the truth. And he says, hey, you know, I'm the one who told you this already, and now years later, they finally admit it.
I just thought it was amazing. I'm happy that you're here and that you're speaking out to people about what you've learned and what you've acquired, and that you're not scared to just say what you think.
Absolutely.
That's
and
the coolest thing.
This town definitely has a lot of people that are interested in art, and, you know, wearing this shirt around, you get a couple different reactions. But I went to a concert the other day, and a guy came up to me. He actually was an older head that went to Berkeley probably in the late 80s, and he said, hey, man, I love that shirt. What is that? I said, hey, you know, I made it. It's satire. And he looked, he pointed at Michael Moore, and he said, who's that? And then he said, I think that guy's a piece of shit, too. And now I'm a liberal, is what he said to me. And I started laughing, and we were just joking about the whole thing. And it's actually something that, you know,
She was just saying that. Bush had me arrested one time. It's not liberal or conservative. It's about being real and not being part of the establishment, trying to make everybody else poor so you can rule over them.
Right. I actually learned a really important lesson. Liberals just have Tourette's. They've all descended into just having Tourette's. All they did was curse and F you, you're a piece of shit, it's bullshit, you're an asshole, and there was no thought behind it. So there is actually a psychological disorder happening, and that's fascinating to see. It's like being at a zoo and just watching people curse over and over again, and there's not a sentence that can come out. I asked him several times, explain what you're saying. I'm happy to listen to him if he wants to explain to me, you know, that Alex Jones is an asshole because, you know, but he couldn't get out any thought other than the curse words. It was unbelievable. And actually, I'm challenging any of them to produce a solid thought. That's a good challenge. Good argument. You know?
Other than Russian, racist.
Other than name calling, can they produce a sentence, a well thought out sentence? So that's the challenge tonight.
I bet you $20 they can.
I'm not going to take that bet, Alex. I'm not going to take that bet.
Well, I'm going to get dinner anyways, but I think you're probably right. I've just got to play devil's advocate here. All right, we are live now into the second hour. Talk show host, filmmaker, best-selling author Steve Quayle is here with us. Gary Haben is going to be popping in with us a little bit later as well. You were here this morning on with David Knight and the morning show he's doing right here on the Infowars Network. Good to have you here with us.
Hey, Alex, good to be with you today. Hey, we got so much going on in the world. I don't know, brother, how you keep up with it.
Well, I'm trying. We've got the Democrats saying that they are moving to impeach Trump. That is their new campaign slogan. U.S. officials says Israel preparing for war with Iran, seeking U.S. support. We're going to hit it all here in just a moment. But I got behind last hour. I want to get into Kanye West and the inside baseball right now and then get your take on it. We know he's been friends with Trump for more than a decade. We know he went and met with him when he was president-elect, then when he was president. We know they threw him in a mental institution for a week saying it's crazy, you know, the Baker Act. If somebody in your family says, we think it's crazy he likes Trump, and he still came out and said, no, I like Trump. So it shows the mind control of them demonizing him. So he goes into TMZ yesterday, and there's an edited clip where he talks about how, listen, Jews' identity is now the Holocaust. Blacks' identity is slavery. We need to transcend this and not have it be our identities. And I've seen him give that speech before. Well, they were waiting for him to do it. Out of context, they edited it to make him sound like he's saying blacks deserved it. No, he's saying all of us are basically slaves now to this mind control. There's a new enemy. Let's break out of it. He's never lessened black slavery. And he was actually quoting, he's tweeted this, Harriet Tubman, of course, who ran the Underground Railway. Now, the lady that helped free the slaves with white abolitionists, she's now, I guess they're going to say KKK if they say that's who he is or who Candace Owens is, who's coming up later in the next hour. I freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed 1,000 more if only they knew they were slaves. That's Harriet Tubman. So I want to get your take on that. Then I'm going to play the edited clip versus him clarifying in the same clip. So he's saying, we're all drugged. We're under mind control. We're all under attack. Break out of the prison. Free thinking. Trump's not bad. But if you like Hillary, that's fine. That's total common sense. That's what bullies they are. Then they change the subject to he's now saying blacks deserve to be slaves. No, he's saying we're all in a mental prison. People were in a prison then. When blacks decided to break out, when whites decided it was wrong too, it ended. He's saying we have power. We don't just need to be victims. But they want to make people's identity how they're victims. Then there's the groups that feed that victimology and control it. You've talked about this for a long time. I'm going to play these clips and get into the inside baseball that I've been told by 3 high-level sources of Kanye and Trump. And my sources think it's now time for people to know what Kanye is doing specifically with Trump. We're going to give people the exclusive, but I wanted to get your take on this, Steve Quayle.
No matter what you say, no matter what Kanye say, anybody who speaks out against the if you will, the scripted official programming, Alex, they come in and they absolutely distort what you say because they can't stand the thought of anybody telling the truth, and they have to take everything, put it into their context because they can't take the truth in our context. The truth is the truth. But these guys are basically, they're worm-like editors, and they worm into every word you say, I say, Kanye said, and they want to spin it. They spin, spin, spin. And so the point is, they will never put us in context. You know that personally. They always take everything in their frame of reference, and the frame of reference is they don't want to lose control of the mind-controlled people. That's my opinion.
And Kanye, if he's successful, I think he is, he's going to go down in history with all that star appeal on the #1 artist in the world, trying to do what we've done in 20-plus years, accelerating it in just a few months. And the fact that he's standing against it's incredible. But to watch TMZ trying to set him up when, he's coming in there and giving them, such attention. Or maybe it wasn't the owners of TMZ, and maybe it was just the editors trying to get attention. But we're going to show what they showed, and then what they later put out as what he really said, which they should have put it out. Again, he's not saying Jews deserve the Holocaust or Jews were weak. He's saying it shouldn't be their identity of just the Holocaust. I mean, think about that. That's our women thinking the West hates them when the West has empowered women, but then the globalists won't expose what Islam's doing to women. Or China killing tens of millions, 60, 80 million little girls. I mean, where's Gloria Steinem there? Where's Linda Saussure there? So here's the short clip, then we'll go to the long clip.
When you hear about slavery for 400 years, that sounds like a choice. Like, you was there for 400 years and it's all of y'all? It's like we're mentally in prison. I like the word prison because slavery goes too direct to the idea of blacks. It's like slavery, Holocaust Jews, slavery is blacks. So prison is something that unites us as one race, blacks and whites being one race, that we're the human race.
So that's just Martin Luther King Part 2. Now it's no, you are your identity of the group you're in, segregate the schools again, do all of this. This is a plan. This is in the WikiLeaks where they're trying to divide everybody to control us so we don't all decide we want freedom. Now, let's go to the unedited clip. Here it is from TMZ.
When you hear about slavery for 400 years, that sounds like a choice. Like, you was there for 400 years and it's all of y'all? It's like we're mentally in prison. I like the word prison because slavery goes too direct to the idea of blacks. It's like slavery, Holocaust Jews, slavery is blacks. So prison is something that unites us as one race, blacks and whites being one race, that we're the human race. We're human beings and stuff. And then eventually, you know.
Can I go back to something you just said? Because I don't want to let it pass. You said that slavery was around for 400 years. At a point, it becomes a choice?
Yeah, right now we're choosing to be enslaved. We're like, okay, so Ebro, I FaceTime him, and I'm there with Candace, right? And Ebro starts bringing up his version of facts, right? And Candace has facts. She's researched,
Candace
right?
Owens.
Candace Owens has facts. She's researched. And then Candace just pulls out her Jedi lightsaber and just, you know, chops Ebro's head off with facts. Then Ebro FaceTimes me the next day, and he's talking about the scoop and poop. He wants to talk about music now. I said, yo, you gonna have Candace on your show? He's like, nah, I'm not. She's mean. So you're gonna stifle her voice, Ebro. You're choosing to enslave people's minds. You're choosing to not let the truth be free.
Can I give you my translation of what happened last week and tell me if it's right?
Okay.
The way I see it, you don't necessarily embrace the views of Donald Trump as much as you want to show people that they shouldn't be intimidated from showing their true feelings, expressing themselves freely, and that the hat is a lightning rod for this kind of free thought that is lost in our society because people get bullied and shouted down and they're intimidated to the point where they have to shut up. Is that fair?
It's the mob. The mob tries to tell you what to think. The mob tries to make all blacks be Democrats for you know, food stamps and stuff. It's the mob. Like, and by the way, you're just talking to the emotion. You know, when you get Candace, ask her, she's going to drop you the facts.
We're going to have Candace on in a bit.
The kid, if you ask the kid that stood in Tiananmen Square in front of the tank why he did it, he might not be able to explain that. But you can't diminish that moment if I can't give you the direct explanation.
Wow, he just did the big no-no because China now controls most of Hollywood. He just exposed where the real slavery now is going on, the mass killing, 60 to 80 million little girls killed, millions hiding under their houses like Anne Frank. Millions of Anne Franks right now in China hiding for much of their life because they're still going to be killed or put in a forced labor camp because their parents didn't kill them. All that's going. I'm so proud of Paul Watson because Candace Owens is just dynamite. You know, really magnifying her, pushing the real red pill, black, getting her out there. We're going to have Candace Owens coming up in the last 30 minutes the next hour today. So be sure and retweet that at Real Alex Jones. It's so exciting. But looking at this, I'm going to come back in the break and just briefly tell you the inside baseball on Kanye West I was given from high-level Trump sources. I mean, he's for real.
He is for real. And the problem with this whole controlled dialogue is that they don't want people to ever see anything in context, Alex. The American people need context. So when you're doing the in-depth the studies and everything that we're talking about, the American people are starting to see, hey, wait a minute, this isn't the official story. I know there's more to the story.
They're starting to think, they're starting to understand that they're only be given a pinhole of the truth instead of the bigger picture.
Right, and that's what we're trying to do. Most people have been raised on news bites, and they've lost the ability to cognitively think and process data. They can't put things together.
And that's what Kanye said. We're going to play that short clip when we come back. I was talking to syndicated radio host, best-selling author, and filmmaker Steve Quayle, who I heard talking about geoengineering and human-animal hybrids 23 years ago. When I first got on air, he got on air right around the same time, but he was already way ahead of me. And I thought the guy was a little bit out there. Over the years, about 95% of it's all come out, which is pretty frightening. But he joins us right now for 30 minutes the next hour. We're going to have Gary Haven getting here as well. We're also going to have Millie Weaver popping in from the Caravan site on the Mexico side because the U.S. won't let reporters get up close to it. She shot a bunch of amazing live footage with her team there inside Mexico yesterday, but she couldn't say her piece because she probably would have had some issues as a team in Mexico. So she'll give you the rest of the report coming up. Steve Quayle's riding shotgun with us. And then Candace Owens. Interview with Candace Owens coming up. Of course, Kanye had her there at TMZ and all the rest of it. And the fact that he's punching all this knowledge out there and saying we're allowed to have free thinking, aren't we? He's calling out the elephant in the room. But I was talking to Steve about 3 minutes ago during the break, and I said, Steve, what do you guess that I'm going to talk about with Kanye West and with Trump? And he said, well, I want to get into how the globalists need World War III and how Wesley Clark laid out the 7 nations, and I think it has to do with that. And as God is my witness, I did not tell him or anybody yet here in the office or anybody else what I've been told by 3-level sources. One involved with SpaceX and Space Command, who, again, could not come on today because of the lawyers, but he's looking to go public soon here on the broadcast. He knows Kanye and Elon Musk and all those folks. We put the photo of Kanye in 2011 at SpaceX with Elon. We should probably put that on screen for TV viewers. But I was told what was going on. And, of course, it's all common sense. I already know it's good intel because I already basically understand the players. NASA is one shadow government set up to compete with the CIA and the other shadow government. And they're interlocked, they're intertwined. But there's a group that wants human exploration, that doesn't want to reduce world population, that wants to have a human future that Trump's been pushing. And Elon Musk and others are involved in that. Myself, Matt Drudge, Ron Paul, Rand Paul, people like that, Steve Quayle. Then there's the really bad deep state actors. It's very varied in the CIA, but it's the 1947 National Security Act group, that whole group. They are wanting a tyrannical world war, depopulation, total control, so then most of us will be wiped out. They can roll out the clones, the synthetic humans, the machines, all the stuff they've already got. They're 40 years ahead, the super weapons. They don't want to wait until China and Russia get to that technological jump point that they already hit 40 years ago. They want to hit them now. And Trump's trying to stop all that from the intel I've gotten. That's why this really satanic globalist force is so pissed right now. And Kanye, I can now tell you, has been brought in by President-elect, then by the president, in on the whole plan. He'd already been brought into it by Elon Musk years ago. And the whole pro-human faction, not the transhumanists saying we're all trash, Ray Kurzweil globalist faction, they don't believe in God yet. And you're the expert on this. We'll go to you in a moment to have the floor. Steve Quayle. And Kanye, just like patriots in our government, drafted Trump 4 years ago to prepare him to run when they were looking at a coup against Obama. And, of course, he's talked to some of the generals. He testified to this. We were in D.C. a few weeks ago. You can see that in his speech at the Mayflower. In fact, we probably re-air that. We haven't aired that except once live. And he didn't even know that I knew about that separately. And Trump was drafted on a kamikaze mission to do this. So it's not the whole government that's bad. There's the pro-human faction and the eugenics death cult faction. And so Kanye was brought in on all this, briefed on this, briefed on a lot of the stuff that public hasn't been told about yet, like Trump talked about in his inaugural address, about secrets of the universe. You're about to know them. We have technologies that will help boost everything, get the economy going. He's trying to do that. The globalists want a post-industrial world. And you notice they cut the tape and they interrupt when he goes, well, until the point that humanity, because we're way past this racism thing. They're trying to stop it till the point that humanity, and they cut him off right there. To the point that we all basically sync up, but not falsely with the internet and the computers and the AI trying to control us in a hive mind, but where we all, like Christ talked about, hit the next level. And they're trying to suppress that, basically the Holy Spirit. And so that's what Kanye keeps trying to get out. They interrupt him every time. But Kanye has now been drafted into this. He's a patriot. Other people were approached. They're all cowards. So we have to give him the props that he has this much courage. But that's it. He and Trump are working together. This is coordinated, and they have a lot of courage. Go ahead, Steve Quayle. You've got the floor for this segment. The next.
The idea of a necessary World War III is absolutely the overriding and overruling dynamic that's going on behind the scenes. And Alex, what's important that people understand, really, really get it and understand it, these people are the ones that do want to decimate the human race, take it down to 500 million. Globalists, the best dream they have, the globalists, their best dream, our ultimate nightmare. But what Kanye did, if you remember, when he had his meltdown, he put that into the context of Jay-Z and a supernatural war going on. You remember that? I mean, you know, he was worried about curses and everything else. Well, here's the deal. Many of the people in Hollywood who have been under a form of mind control are now coming out of that. And I'm not saying Kanye is, but he
is. He's been under mind control. Yeah. I mean, just cultural everything.
Right, but
you can see he's coming out of it.
Yeah, he's coming out of it. But others will follow. It's kind of like an icebreaker. The bow on the icebreaker hits the ice first, and if the bow on the icebreaker doesn't hit the ice first, the rest of the ship can't come through. So when we take it into the World War III context, look at where we're going. We're going right into Iran. They're A positioning, B positioning. They're getting ready to go at it. And what we're seeing now with the Syrian revelations of, firing missiles and Trump trying to prevent World War III, and that really pissed off the powers that be, okay? They want World War III. They do.
That's why he's doing limited things to culturally appease the hawks, but it's actually like Red Adair using TNT to blow up an oil well that's on fire. Exactly. He's killing the bigger fire with a smaller one.
Exactly. And he understands the program, and your sources tell you that. But also the thing that people have got to understand is this. When you and I broke the story about Deagle, Deagle's is the depopulation, kind of like the RAND think tank, the depopulation of America, losing up to 80% of its population. Now, that was before. People lose track of the fact that these guys behind the scenes, call them the global puppet masters, the Luciferians, the Satanists, they absolutely go nuts. They melt down, Alex, and all the mouthpieces that are trying to make Kanye look bad, that are always against, quote, us, who are the free press, the last vestige of the free press, they don't want to lose the C word, and that's control.
And again, we're not bragging. We're going to come back. You're on fire. But you have been the tip of the icebreaker. We're not bragging. That's why we're under so much attack. They know this, folks. They know we just want to win. We're for everybody. We want humanity. We'll point out all the garbage. I'm getting chills right now. And I forgot to play this clip of Kanye saying, hey, you're on drugs. You're under mind control. Wake up. It's happening. And you can see he's there. It's real. He's breaking out of it. You can tell he's got chills because your spirit knows we're at the choosing point right now. We're going to come back and talk more about Iran, how we stop the globalists. But here's that clip as we go out to break with Kanye just last night.
We are drugged out. We are following other people's opinions. We are controlled by the media. And today it all changes.
And so they spin that he doesn't like black people and says they deserve to be slaves. No, he said, we're all slaves now. We're breaking out. Let's stop being slaves. Let's stop being victims. Let's declare our destiny. Steve Quayle's here in studio with us today. Riding shotgun, always has a lot to say. Millie Weaver is out in California or is it Mexico? She's been back and forth covering the migrant George Soros-funded humanizing event so that we all just open our borders completely to the collapsing third world, that the big mega banks are doing everything they can to keep collapsing and under their control. So they use our emotions against us. Just briefly here, we are listener supported and listener funded. We have amazing products. I just ran into one of the maintenance guys who had gout in his foot for a couple of weeks, and the doctors and the medicine they gave him didn't do anything. And I said, hey, it looks like you're better. You've gotten a lot better. And he said, yeah, I started taking bodies, and within days, almost all the inflammation went away out of my foot when the medicine they gave me didn't work. That just happened as I walked down the hall. It's 25% off our ultimate turmeric formula, 95% curcumin level. The leading competitors have 3%. I know people that tell me, oh, I didn't have a big inflammation help when I took a turmeric product. Well, that's because most of it out there is old, dried crap. This is concentrated, the curcumin, and then 5 other ingredients that supercharge it. Everybody needs to have bodies. It's amazing. I personally, have a 80% blown Achilles. Sometimes it really hurts when I exercise. Boom, take 2 of those. Within 4 or 5 hours, it doesn't work like Advil, though, in 30 minutes. Massive, massive, massive response. So I just take it on a routine basis now and feel so much better. I'm going to get the Achilles fixed at some point. And I've got a smashed right hand from different activities, bones broken in it probably more than 100 times. I'm not joking. And without bodies, that just personally made my life so much better. DNA Force Plus, now with more PQQ and CoQ10, now with more. So it's even stronger and it's less money. 50% off, $74.95. It's been our most expensive product because clinics sell similar things for $300 to $400 because they have 5, 6, 7 times markup. We don't. At 50% off right now, ladies and gentlemen, we have, 40, 50% markup. That's what I'm telling you. Nobody does. This is a Rolls-Royce formula for a Ford F-150 price. This is telomere support. Infowarsstore.com, Infowarslife.com, or 888-253-3139. Steve Quayle of the Q-Files is here with us. We're going to get into the announcements, U.S. officials, Israel preparing for war with Iran, seeking U.S. support, NBC News. That was pretty clear with what Netanyahu said. I don't like the mullahs. I don't like Iran. But you talked about it yourself and what the globalists fear, this awakening, and why they want war, and what you think Trump's really doing, and how this ties into the open borders in Europe, our borders here. And we're going to go to Millie Weaver to ride shotgun with us. There's Millie there right now. Let's just pop to her for a second. We're going to go back to Steve here for a moment. But where are you right now, Millie?
Well, right now I'm in San Diego, California, back at my hotel. But yesterday we were down in Tijuana, Mexico, right on the Mexican side of the border, speaking with the migrant caravan. I wanted to go down there and investigate and find out exactly what is going on with this migrant caravan situation. And I'll tell you, the liberal media is out there saying that these are all refugees that are in immediate need for safety and protection inside the United States. What I can tell you is that what I found out from the migrants themselves is that that is actually not true. None of them felt in danger. I had a translator. You can see my translator right there, Louis in the poncho, and he did a great job conveying what these people were saying to me. And it was pretty clear. They said, no, not in any fear of safety. We just want to come to America for a better life.
And that's the thing. Well, most of them are nice. Most of them are nice, are telling the truth. But they're being used as a weapon, and the media is lying about the fact that 98% aren't refugees. So there's your headline. Migrants admit they're not in danger and are not refugees, that they are simply seeking a better life. Good. But you can't come in and have the Democrats put you on welfare and turn you into this bombshell information. We need to codify all this into one big article. This needs to go incredibly viral. Stay there, Millie. We're coming back to you. Steve Quayle, big picture, getting into what we just talked about with this Iran situation. I see that as front and foremost. How does this tie to the strategy with North Korea, with the peace prize, with the Korean War about to end? What's going on behind the scenes?
A total quantum chess game, Alex, that's in multiple dimensions. And just like, let me make it really clear. You've got all these different theaters. You've got the Middle East. You've got the border situation where the immigrants are, being used, and they're weaponized immigrants. We've seen the plan. The plan is to flood the West, destroy Christian culture, and absolutely bring about total mayhem. We've heard this so many times. We've listened to it off and on for 20 years, and now it's all in place. So remember, they will victimize anybody to make the people focus on the victim, but they don't understand who's doing the victimization, and that is the globalists. And again, people have got to understand this. There really are nasty people out there, and these people are willing to kill a lot of people. So there are all these theaters, North and South Korea. The Democrats just melted when someone suggested that maybe Donald Trump should get the Nobel Peace Prize. Well, the idea is simply this: control all avenues of discussion, but keep the people's eyes busy. I'm telling you, Alex, they're building towards a third world war. That's the only way that historically they can bring on their change artists to bring the world into a peaceful mode, and hey, biblically, it's the Antichrist, the guy that's coming on the scene.
And now China's having a world score that we're adopting that tracks everything you do on the internet in live time. And if you're not a good globalist, then you get your score lowered to the point you can't work, you can't travel, you can't eat, and you die. The literal mark of the beast. And last segment, I was going to interrupt, but I didn't want to do it. Anybody can type in Oprah Winfrey, Ted Turner, Bill Gates, and others meet to discuss world government and overpopulation. And it was in the Wall Street Journal. It was in the Washington Post. It was in, and they admitted they all met in New York secretly, but they wanted the public to know they're setting up an alternate world government, as if David Rockefeller didn't set it up himself, and that they wanted to talk about depopulating Africa to begin with. So imagine if Kanye West said, I want to depopulate Africa and blacks can't have air conditioning or cars in Africa. You'd say, what are you, Hitler? But when they say it, now there it is, Wall Street Journal, if they say it, it's cute, it's funny, it's sweet. Billionaires try to shrink world population, report says. I mean, and they're all tax exempt. They put their money tax exempt towards this, then they call them philanthropists. Well, then Hitler was a philanthropist. I mean, and then they're led by George Soros, one of their key generals, who's a literal Nazi collaborator that hunted down people like Anne Frank.
Absolutely. And he said the proudest day in his life was leading Jewish people into the concentration camps. And here's a guy, and this is one question. I think I asked Roger Stone this too. Why is George Soros allowed to create so much mayhem in not only the United States, but all over the world?
Who does he work for?
I don't know, Alex. I know he works for the globalists. I know he works, but I think here's what I think. I think he works for the invisible. When I say invisible government, you and I have spent so many years.
The super deep state.
The
global international corporate super state. Even the two James Bonds ago.
Well, yeah.
They admitted it was the quantum group, and then he is like, they believe he's the real leader of Spectre. And again, the former top guy in MI6 and OSS, Ian Fleming, he wrote those based on what was really going on. It's the same thing today. Absolutely. He's the head of Spectre.
Yes, he is. And the thing that is important for people to understand, everything we're seeing in the movies now, everything we're watching on television, all the new shows, everything is basically people are bad. The world they've created has produced a zombie adventures in paradise, and they have the solution, they have the answer. And the story that you just brought up that showed on the screen, I mean, you've got Bill Gates openly calling for the elite to rule the world. And see, if that doesn't anger everybody who is, quote, a peasant, when you're talking about killing off 9/10 of the world's population.
And they're doing it at TED TV Talks.
Yeah, well.
And then we're under attack for saying it's bad, and Kanye's a racist. Give me a break.
Well, you know, here's the thing. We're at the point now where people have got to stand up. They've got to speak up. And they got to basically pony up. The idea that free press and what you see here on Infowars, what you see on, you know, any form of alternative press that's really telling the truth. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, these are absolute weapons of mass destruction.
We're in total war, and we're not bitching. We're just saying we are your attack ships, and we're under attack. And when you pray for us and spread the articles and also financially support us, you are bringing dawn to the darkness. We'll be back. All right, coming up, Candace Owens. She's going to talk Kanye West, the future, so much more. That's coming up. Candace Owens in the last 30 minutes of this hour. Then Roger Stone with the big move for them to try to impeach Trump. Mueller to try to embarrass him, fake charges. It's a separate branch of government, the executive. You have to be impeached before the president can be charged. But the public doesn't really understand that, so they're going to try to embarrass the president right when he's delivering on the economy and on peace and so many things. We're going to go to Millie Weber this segment and the next. Riding shotgun with us throughout the next 45 minutes or so is Steve Quayle. His websites are numerous and excellent. He's got award-winning documentary films that we carry at InfoWarsStore.com. Also, some of his books, you can find them all at stevequayle.com and the Q Files. Cliff Kincaid's going to be popping in as well. Again, Candace Owens. But going back and jumping any time, here's your riding shotgun, Steve Quayle. Millie, again, you gave us a little pre-taste of this. You've got hours and hours of live streaming. We need to post it as one article as soon as possible. Obviously, that's our job. With the bombshell, you talked to hundreds of the migrants, the caravan folks, that were very honest. They said, no, we're not scared. We're not fleeing fear. We want to be in America. But the media has this one woman and her children up at the front. Well, I mean, you got to take care of her. It's asylum. That's what Obama used, saying, oh, it's kids for those years when he ordered no border apprehensions, and then nobody shows up for 3-4 years to the border hearings, to the immigration hearings. This is the end of our border. This is the collapse of Latin America. But the problem for the globalist is Mexico is close to a first world nation in many areas. They're on the very top 3%, 4% of, and you can look this up, of third world nations. They're almost first world, other than their crime rate, and some of the rural areas. They know collapsing Guatemala, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Venezuela into them will mean total collapse, cultural implosion. These groups are all very tribal. They're in tribal groups in Venezuela, you name it, always fighting with each other, communists versus this. This is collapsing civilization into the El Norte, and Mexico's El Norte, not just us. And so this is a big, big deal, Millie, that you've exposed this, you and Gavin, so congratulations. Lay it out for us.
So we had the opportunity to both go into the migrant caravan and also go check out some of the Casa de Inmigrante, which is the House of Immigrants, which are places, shelters for immigrants, which many of them were also being housed at. That's going to be in our special report that we put out. And standing around outside of that were some very nefarious looking guys. Looked like they could have been cartel members or protectors or coyotes. And so what we spoke to some of the locals out here in Mexico, and what they say is that they have a greater chance of getting through under refugee or asylum status if they have children with them. So human trafficking is associated with this caravan, and they tend to bring children because it increases their odds of getting into the United States. But this is all about just getting into the United States to work in the U.S. in order to bring money back to their families or back to their cartels or get cartel members in to smuggle drugs. You know, the guy Louis, who was our translator, as nice as he was, he told us his background story and that he was deported from the U.S. for smuggling heroin. So there's a culture of drugs in Mexico. I would say that, you know, the people in the caravan were no safer than the whole entire rest of the country in Mexico. But Mexico is almost like a third world country, and many other countries across, you know, the whole globe are in this same situation. So we can't say that, hey, these are people in immediate need for help and they need to get in, or because their safety is compromised, because that's just simply not the case. And if it were, you would have billions of people coming to the U.S., and we just can't do that. It would collapse our system, and that's exactly what the globalists want to do. Now, the globalists would like America to be run exactly how Mexico is run. They actually have a maximum wage in Mexico. You cannot get paid over $1.75 in Mexico. Even American businesses that come down there are not allowed to pay their employees more than $1.75. And even into central Mexico, it can even be 25 cents. So they're getting paid such low wages. They want to come, you know, get a U.S. passport or visa or citizenship to commute across the border, work in San Diego, work in you know, American countries, and then commute back to their homes in Mexico, or just live in America and send their money back to their families. So that's essentially what these people were expressing, what they wanted to do. It's essentially a business model. It's for financial gain. None of them were refugees. None of them felt like they were in any immediate danger or fear. They were being taken care of better than most of the other citizens in Mexico, because they had all of these Democrat NGOs, American organizations, coming out and feeding them. So these people were perfectly fine. They had already been given refuge in Mexico. So for the liberal media to claim these are refugees that need immediate help, it's just absolutely not true. It's a lie.
Well, you're on fire, and I just heard pure veritas from what our great reporter and team laid out there on the U.S.-Mexican border in California. Let's talk about the big picture here, Steve Quell.
Well, the big picture, Alex, is they're being stopped. The powers that be that want immigration to destroy us like the rest of the world. Hey, people want to believe it or not, but there is the plan to turn every single nation in this world into a internal civil war so that you have nothing but strife. It's Saul Alinsky on steroids. We're talking about the ideal, if you will, rules for radicals, and we're talking about every single rule being lived out, and the media, the mainstream media that portray us as, quote, untrue news or false news, fake news, they don't get the picture. And the ones that do, they get the paychecks from the deep, deep state. And I want to make it clear, when I talk about deep state, I'm not talking about what everybody thinks is deep state. I'm talking about 13 families that are so far hidden beyond the old Bilderbergers and all the Rothschilds. That stuff, that's not the level I'm talking about. I'm talking about such a supernaturally evil cadre of Satanists who are some of the most powerful people in the world.
And it chose Soros to be its Renfield bagman because he rounded up thousands of his fellow Jews, thousands of Anne Franks. And he's targeting us. We've been told he's financing lawsuits against us because we keep saying he was a Nazi collaborator. Well, he said it on 60 Minutes. So now I say it every hour, not every week.
Well, the idea is this: no matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter what you think, the attack has got to be on the truth, because these people will not acknowledge the truth. For Kanye to say what he said, for what Milley's doing on the border. I mean, Milley, how many people are down there? I mean, I don't know how many of the main networks are down there, but see, all they do is they give little bites.
Oh, they're like, oh, these are poor victims. Right. Oh, they're all, I mean, Milley, you've been there. What have you witnessed?
Well, you know, there are hundreds of migrants down there, but they're in no worse of a situation than the whole rest of, you know, the population down in Mexico. There are actually Mexican children there that are in worse situation because. And
again, Mexico will not take them. And that's a UN term we all use. Migrants. No, they're called invaders coming here illegally.
Absolutely. And again,
you know,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Mexico actually, their immigration policies are actually kind of strict sometimes. A lot of times they will find these people and deport them. But when they come with children, they know that the federales are more lenient. So that's why they have the children there. And the federales are simply allowing them to be there, you know, to essentially try to ask for asylum in the U.S. Or it would be that they could just kind of go under the radar and not be in a big protesting group. And then they could actually stay in Mexico more likely, because it is pretty lenient of a government down there, and it is mostly run by cartels. The situation politically down there is pretty bad. I would say that there's a lot of communist Latin groups in America that are pushing for communism. They don't want big business. But what's going on is in Mexico, they do not have big business there at all. There are limits on business. Actually, they have big cartel. So where do the politicians get their money? They have to get their money to run for office from the cartels. So right now, this is political season in Mexico. They've had about every 3 days, there's a murder of somebody who's running for office there. It's a death sentence to try to run for president or office in Mexico, because essentially your opponent will buy off cartel, and the cartel will murder you.
Yeah, they've got a mafia government of conquest. And just like Mexico was once vibrant, Rome and Italy was once vibrant, and then when it became an empire and corrupt, it rotted. And it's the same thing. When it goes into the ruling of the thug, Venezuela was once as rich as the U.S. till the 60s. Same was Argentina, but socialism came. And the same path we're on, ladies and gentlemen. And the elite leverage out the money. They devalue it. They buy up Swiss chateaus. And then when it all implodes, people are wanting something free when communism ends, and everybody's literally eating their dogs, eating their cats. I mean, like 3 years ago, they'd already eaten their dogs and cats. That was like the Washington Post. They'd already, and now it's just kids eating out of garbage cans. Thousands of people starve to death a week, but the government passed a law. You can't call it starvation.
Well, it's not only that, but cannibalism is coming back worldwide, okay? Even in Cancun, the old ways, and this isn't picking on Mexico, but they're finding people, Alex, that are having their hearts ripped out just in the last week, okay?
That's right. Mexico, even Cancun's not safe. I love Cancun. Can't go there anymore.
Yep, you can't go. So here's the thing.
Can't even go to Cancun.
They want fear. They want fear to be the driving force. They, the globalists, the Satanists, and let's call them ultra-black world leaders. And by that, I mean ultra-hidden world leaders.
Yes, secret. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Well, the little thought police out there are really busy. Ben Shapiro, who believes he rules the libertarian conservative movement, he doesn't stand up, against the censorship happening, any of it. He started tweeting at Candace Owens, who Paul Watson put on the map. She's a very articulate, wonderful person, but Paul really pushed her out there, and we've had her on several times, saying, don't go on Infowars, don't go on Infowars. And one of my people tweeted out, and Kanye West. Now, I told him that she's coming on to talk about Kanye West, so I got to change that tweet and clarify my earlier tweet this morning. In fact, if you'll print off my tweet, I actually sent that. The crew sent stuff out. I'm not sure who did this. They didn't send out exactly as I wanted. I said to discuss Kanye. But again, as if I need her to come on to have my own audience. I have my audience. They like me. I like them. We're chasing the tail of a story to even get Candace Owens on. And she told us last week, oh, yeah, I'll come on in a couple days, come on in a couple days. But we'll see if Candace Owens appears in this studio and airs today in 30 minutes. We will see. Because the little police officer of Thought Police, Ben Shapiro, came out and he said, no, at Kanye, no, no, no. Of course, Ben Shapiro's been lecturing, don't trust Kanye. He's going to stab you in the back. Again, it's like, Alex Jones, he says this, he said that. There's Martian kids or whatever. None of that's true. It's all lies. But again, wait till you find out what really happened, because it's not what Ben Shapiro's saying. It's not what she said, Candace Owens, because I can't help doing this sometimes. So it's coming up in 30 minutes. Here it is. Candace Owens. Number one, I'm not on Infowars today. Number two, disrespecting any platform watched by millions is silly. That's nice of her. Number three, please stop telling me and or Kanye no, can't, or shouldn't. Yay, Candace. Advice appreciated. Command shut down. No, 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 no. I run everything. I'm Ben Shapiro. I'm Ben Shapiro, the ultimate intellectual. Kanye's bad. Don't trust him. Kanye, don't go on there. Let me do an Alex Jones imitation. Hey, I'm Alex Jones. I'm Ben Shapiro. So, we'll see. Will there be a Candace Owens interview in 30 minutes? We'll see. Infowars.com/show. I mean, I never even do the stuff Trump does. I can do it all day long, too. But I've decided in these times, since the globalists are attacking, I'm going to 11, Steve.
Crank it up, Alex, because here's the deal. We can't break any longer. They're full speed ahead. They're full throttle. They're absolutely getting to the point where they're forcing the sides, okay? 1 minute you've got somebody who's your friend. The next minute they turn into your mortal enemy when you don't toe the line with what they think. And that's the problem. They got to learn to think.
But Ben Shapiro said, no, you don't go on there. I'm the boss. I'm like the liberal media. I tell you who can be on air and who can't.
Well, he's a puppet person then, you know, the little ham puppet guy. The point is that, in my opinion...
I mean, here's the Ben Shapiro look. I'm in charge now. Here.
And what's he in charge of?
Here, I mean, I can make that face too. Look.
What is he in charge of?
I'm Ben Shapiro, and I'm very smart. I measure my words very carefully. So you went down to the border. You're not Ben Shapiro, Millie Weaver. What'd you do, huh? Or you're not me, are you?
Oh, you know, we just kind of exposed that this whole migrant caravan thing is a racket. It's a fraud. And that's why I ask everyone who's listening right now, please, please share the video. Get the word out there. People need to know that this is a fraud, because since they've started allowing these migrants in waves of about 15 to 22, they've already let several waves into the United States. Word is catching on. And so a bunch of people are now jumping onto the caravan, and you're going to have more and more people showing up at the border trying to fraudulently gain entrance into the United States under the guise of being refugees, when that's just simply not the case. And remember, this is to disrupt the system. You know that the Democrats want these people to be brought in as Democrats.
Hold on, Millie. Come back and finish up. I realized I didn't get Ben Shapiro's authorization to have you on. Can somebody call Ben Shapiro and see if I'm even allowed to have on the next guest that's coming on after Millie finishes up? Cliff Kincaid, former Crossfire host and big anti-communist. And somebody call Shapiro now, because he's got to get permission before he comes on, too. We'll be back. Bye-bye, Ben Shapiro. Bye-bye. Can I go potty during the break? Well, if you just joined us, Ben Shapiro just ordered Kanye West and Candace Owens to not come on the show today. He ordered them. He does that look where you know he is in charge. I think they call that face the conceited douchebag face.
Well, all I can tell you is this, is that he obviously has a higher opinion of himself than he should, you know, and the idea here is that, again, everybody wants to control everybody. The day of people being able to freely speak their mind, Alex, and we've got to get this through, those are shutting down unless people stand up and they cough up and they absolutely, you know, support those who are out there on alternate media. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to stand up now. If you don't, your future is already decided for you. If you do, then they have to reconfigure their plans.
Hold on. I'm talking to Ben Shapiro. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I know you're a superhuman and better than me. Oh, excuse me, sir. I'm sorry. You talk first. Go ahead. Oh, I may talk now. Can I have Millie Weaver on today? Can I have Steve Quayle on? And I was thinking during the next break I might go urinate. Can I pee-pee? I can't pee-pee, sir? You got to ask the boss when you can take a bathroom break.
I understand.
Well, thank you, sir, for telling Candace Owens and Kanye West they can't come on the show today. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, well, we'll see if she comes on to talk about Kanye in 20 minutes. We'll see if she's transmitted here. Yes, sir. I'll crawl in a hole and die. Thank you for being my God. Wow. Well, there you go, man. He's force-fed by YouTube. Why? He doesn't get censored. He doesn't get blocked because he's the great Ben Shapiro. Hi, I'm Ben Shapiro.
If he doesn't get blocked.
I mean, when you're making faces like the one he makes, like, I mean, boy, wow, I'm impressed. What an intellectual. I think I'm going to start playing a part of him like once a week because I can do an imitation of him and kind of sit there real conceited and go, well, actually, you'll see, there's a thing called liberals, and I'm real smart. Sorry, Millie, you got cut off there. So did Mr. Quayle. And have we gotten Mr. Kincaid's audio fixed? We're getting closer. Okay, Millie, you got interrupted by the break. We've gotten authorization from Ben Shapiro for you to be able to speak. He's now authorized it, so go ahead.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Ben Shapiro. Thank you for that permission. Okay, so getting back to the migrant caravan situation, we have a situation where it's growing. Because they've started letting people in, there's going to be more and more people going down there. And that's why I ask everyone who's watching this feed, please go onto my YouTube channel, Millennial Millie, and find this video. Please share it. People need to see this. The word needs to get out. The video is titled Exposed immigrant caravan, not refugees. You can also find this video on the Infowars.com, but the sure bet is to find it on my Millennial Millie on YouTube channel. These migrants say it for themselves. People need to hear.
But listen, this takes away from Ben Shapiro. This takes away from Ben Shapiro. You know, he doesn't go down to the border. He doesn't go into the migrant refugee invasion center over the Mexican border in danger with an Infowars crew. No, he decides who goes on my show. He doesn't actually go out and do anything. He just tells us how intellectual he is and then makes real little smart man faces. Again, it doesn't really matter what you did, Millie, or how groundbreaking. You have hundreds of these so-called refugee migrants admitting they're not really in danger and they're just an invasion force of the Democratic Party and Soros. It just doesn't matter because it's not authorized by Ben Shapiro.
Exactly. And one of the points that I was trying to make earlier regarding the businesses and how the Mexican people have such low wages, you know, you have this culture of Americans complaining about big business in America. And we complain that big business lobbies to our politicians and buys our politicians, which to some extent that is bad. But would you rather have it that we don't have big business here at all, like Mexico, and so that essentially the cartels are the ones buying politicians and running free, essentially the mafias? If we were a mafia-driven, controlled country, just like Mexico, you can see how that's happening down there. And so those are some of the pitfalls of communism and these policies that would drive out big business. Once you lose big business, the mafias buy up all the politicians and it's game over, just like what we're seeing in Mexico. They've got a lot of problems down there. From what I could see, most everyone was anti-Trump. Because the mainstream media has done a good job telling all of the people in Mexico that Trump hates Mexicans, which simply is not true. It's an edited up clip. He doesn't want people coming illegally into the United States, regardless of what
and Mexico has controls and all the rest of it. He didn't say the things they said, just like they do to us. They assassinate our character. It's mainstream media against reality. Millie Weaver, great job reporting. Continue reporting. I know you've got more explosive live reports coming and more HD reports. I'm not going to say what you're planning next for your security, but you and Gavin, I just want to say Godspeed.
Thank you, Alex. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Now, I want to get into the whole situation with Candace Owens and Kanye West. And now Mark Dice is involved, our good buddy, who we need to get back on the show. And Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro does some good things. But he just basically recycles libertarian conservative arguments and does it in a kind of squeaky, pontificating egghead way and makes little egghead faces and things that is really a bunch of puffery. Or he festoons himself with the peacock behaviors, basically of festooned arrogance to create an atmosphere of looking down the nose elitism, which is supposed to shock those of us in flyover country into just staggered, poleaxed, lightning-struck, thunderbolted jellyfish before his godlike vistage pouring out upon the fruited plain, the very elixir of enlightenment and next-level thinking. But that said, it's a bunch of recycled stuff. Jordan Peterson, nice guy, smart. It's all Carl Jung stuff. I mean, there it is. So Infowars is original. It's trailblazing. It's cutting edge. Our guest star. And the fact that he would say, no, 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 Candace, don't go on Alex Jones's show. And he runs around, I learn, always doing that, trying to police things. That's what the left does, the elite coast. And the so-called new right-wing gods we're given that YouTube and others don't really block, like Shapiro, they're put out to control us and corral us. Ben Shapiro, as Mark Dice points, goes on CNN. He goes on places he disagrees with. As if Candace Owens and people disagree with me. The media misrepresents what I say about Sandy Hook or other demonization points so they can demonize me and try to keep people from coming on, just so they can control who talks to who, the very thing Kanye's saying is a bad thing. So to cause a debate about this, I made a decision today to do what I will tell you about at the end of the hour when Candace Owens is on for 2 segments. Candace Owens on this show, here, sitting right here. So that's happening, and you know it'll all make sense later, but I knew people like Shapiro would do this, and so that's what this is all about, and this is going to be a major teaching moment here to expose all of this. I could sit here with a fake British accent and then look at you like Shapiro or an East Coast elitist accent of, oh, yes, I don't do it. I'm not a fake. I have my own operation. We're bigger than Limbaugh now. Okay, we're not trying to be the biggest, but these guys want to be the biggest, Steve.
Well, listen, Alex, when you get your head above water, and the water I'm talking is about that drowning level of the mainstream lies that go out there, then people take notice. And the thing that people have got to understand, I think it's critical, is, ladies and gentlemen, what happens? What happens? I want everyone to ask themselves this question. What happens when the voices that you're hearing now on Infowars, what happens when they go away? Because when we go away, that means they're going to come and take you away. Alex, people have got to step up, stand up. And listening to this guy, Ben Shapiro, I don't even know him, okay? I don't pay any attention to that.
Well, he's arrogant. He thinks he's the #1 guy in the world. Most people are like, who's that?
Yeah, I don't know him.
He just goes...
I can't talk to that, but I can talk to the scripted scenario of the mainstream press that does nothing but just you know what I called them? This is a great statement. They're vomit brokers, okay? Now I want to define vomit brokers.
But look at that young whippersnapper. Bow to him.
Well,
kneel. Bow.
You know, so bow wow, but I don't know who that is.
Called megalomania.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Alex. The guys that are trying to control the narrative, they always have ulterior motives. When you're originating the narrative and say, listen, think of this. You're being told, do this, do that, think this, think that. When you break out of that, that's what makes them nervous.
No, exactly. And imagine, I would never tell somebody who to have on. It's such a little authoritarian punk. Okay, I wanted to point out the type of gatekeeping that's going on. And so I decided to do an experiment. And I've been completely truthful about the experiment, breaking it down, except for one of the tweets that the crew didn't get exactly right. It's Kanye West, who's not been on the show and is not coming on next segment. Candace Owens talks about Kanye West here on the show. So that's what's coming up in the next 2 segments. And I did this, though, to make an example out of the stuff that goes on and how the gatekeeping operates and how it's used against everybody. And it's a junior high mentality. And it's everything Candace Owens and Kanye West say they're against. So that's what's coming up. I'm not in Hollywood. I'm not on the East Coast or West Coast. I'm here in Texas. We built our own thing. And our audience doesn't like celebrities. Our audience doesn't like chasing the establishment. They tune out like that. Good thing I already have the same taste. But I like trailblazers and mavericks and people that go against the grain like Donald Trump or Matt Drudge. And so we're going to have 2 segments with Candace Owens in studio right here. And then I'm going to come back and give you the rest of the story. And Ben Shapiro and all these folks saying, don't go on, don't do it. All his fans turned against him on Twitter. He's another one of these guys that says he's anointed and just sits up there. Everybody's supposed to bow down to him. It's a bunch of recycled stuff, almost all of it. And then when his fans attacked him, I saw during the break, he's like, oh, no, I'm not commanding you what to do. Yeah, you are. You're an arrogant person. It just drips. I can't even look at you. And we see this so many places, the same arrogance. So I understand you're supposed to be king of the world, bro. I get it. You have no idea our reach. You have no idea. The enemy knows. They can surveil us. We don't even tell you what's below the surface. Now, that said, I don't walk around making faces like this. Come to me. I am Count Dracula. My will is unstoppable. I am Ben Shapiro. Come here. Your will is weak. You're under my control. I am anointed by YouTube. All other conservatives are banned. Come to me. Come here. Just like the media promotes Peterson shows up on the scene. Oh, he's censored suddenly. All the media promotes him. The Atlantic promotes him. I'm not stupid. They're rebranding liberal humanism stuff as conservative, and everybody's taking a hook, line, and sinker, which is fine. But I've decided to go ahead and open up on all these people with their arguments, where they said it, show the statements they make or what somebody made 100 years ago so everybody gets it. And I'm going to start coming in with a little pipe and a little Sherlock Holmes cap, and I'm going to actually do it in a British accent for hours at a time. I've decided to dissect all of you, and I'm even going to make faces like, I can't do it. It's just so childish, but I'll try. Anyways, you have the floor, my friend. You exposed human-animal hybrids 23 years ago when I read one of your books, and then a few years later it was actually in the BBC. Now they're announcing it everywhere. Tell us what's really going on. A big conference coming up, Steve Quayle.
Well, Alex, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, transhumanism and the hybridization of what once was humanity is what's taking place. Everything else is theater, theater of the absurd, the things that are taking preeminence even on Drudge's headlines, the idea of artificial intelligence. what we're in trying to do is show people that, Alex, at the end of the day, all these people want the human race dead because they intend to supercharge. And
they advertise books and movies, the world without humans, how great it'll be.
Yeah. And my answer to them is...
murder everyone liberal, but Cayenne's racist.
I tell them after you, of course, you know.
Kanye.
The whole world needs to die. That's their theme.
Liberal.
So, yeah, listen,
liberal.
In Branson, Missouri, the September 14th through the 16th, we have the biggest conference of its kind in the world, Transhumanism in the Hybrid Age. You can go on Gen6, GENSIX.com, Gen6.com. And the idea is to present some of the greatest minds in the world that have written, like Hugo de Garis, Tom Horn. Those of us, Alex, you're getting a lot of flack from the contemporaries in Europe. We're considered the transhumanist resistance movement, because when you interrupt the elite's script, they have to come in.
Their plan for humanity.
Their plan for humanity. And ladies and gentlemen, this thing is one of a kind. And by the way, my new book, which will be present, I'm not just pitching a book. You can't even sell it yet.
And David Knight's going to be there?
Yeah, David Knight's going to be there, keynote speaker. But it's called Terminated, the End of Man. And it looks like...
Have you noticed the communist Chinese are calling their AI supercomputer that surveils us Skynet?
Absolutely. And so, and 5G... I can tell you this, it's the total enslavement of the electromagnetic spectrum that human beings will operate in. And isn't it amazing? All the people that, Alex, you were talking about earlier, that claim that, you know, we the peons need the elite overlords to control us.
They believe they've taken control of evolution and are about to build this fabulous Ubermensch. Where did we hear of that before?
Right. And I mean, it's the...
Adolf Alois Hitler.
The quintessential.
But Kanye's racist. That's the problem.
No, here's the deal. Forget all the chatter. What I'm saying is, and you're dealing with it right now, chatter, tweets. I got to tell you something. Twitter, I've never tweeted, you know. I think I just, it's
well, they
relevant.
get you there to get your audience there, and then they cut everybody off. No,
exactly.
It's a wasteland of evil.
But ladies and gentlemen, go on Gen6, GENSIX.com, and sign up for the conference. And for those of you that can't be there, we just announced live streaming, and it's really a critical time. And, you know, the point is, use your formula. Hey, Alex, we have Alex as a code word, and you'll get a discount. And last year we had thousands of people from all over the world live streaming, and this year we're 4 months before the event, we're 2/3 sold out.
That's awesome. My friend, thanks for being here. Let me say bye here in the break.
Thank you.
Are you able to hang around and come on the War Room?
I got to find out what's going on with my trip to the airport.
All right, just hold on a second. We're about to go to break here. Just briefly, folks, we're under massive globalist attack, and we sell products that are absolute, complete game changers. Today is the last day to get Survival Shield X2, the purest, cleanest, deep earth crystal source iodine, true atomic iodine. It's not radioactive. When atomic means periodic table, pure iodine. And when it sells out, there's only maybe 1.5 other runs ready. We are very close to that selling out, so it's going to regular price tomorrow. It's still a good deal. Infowarslife.com takes you right to the supplement page. Infowarsstore.com is the umbrella main site with all the thousands of great products. And we now have 2 of our top supplements at 50% off. Alpha Power and Super Male Vitality, 50% off individually or together and free shipping. When you get those together, that is going to end this weekend. We have 33% off our colloidal silver iodine empowered Super Blue toothpaste, mouthwash, and immune gargle. We have in all different sizes, 1 ounce, 6 ounce, 16 ounces. Infowarsstore.com, Infowarslife.com, or 888-253-3139. And then the big kahuna. Rival products sold by medical clinics are $300 to $400. It's the exact same stuff. PQQ, CoQ10, all of it. Super high grade, $74 right now. That is 50% off. I can tell you that's not even 50% markup, ladies and gentlemen. You understand that there is more than half of it is the cost of what's in it. No one does that. This is true supplements. The tiny amounts you get out of most competitors you think are great, the 3% curcumin or whatever in most turmeric formulas. Ours is 95% tested curcumin. We know it is the strongest out there. Somebody may invent something stronger. We don't know about it. If we get it, we'll have it. Infowarsstore.com. Just like our information is thermonuclear to tyrants, just like everything we do is game-changing globally, just like we're the scourge of the corrupt Vatican. There's Vatican suing me because we are liberty-based. We are freedom-based, and we're coming for the globalists. Now, we'll see if Candace Owens shows up here on the other side of this quick break We'll see what Ben Shapiro says about that, won't we? Thank you, my friend Steve Quell.
There's an ideological civil war happening. Black people that are focused on their past and shouting about slavery, and black people that are focused on their futures, okay? I can guarantee you what you're seeing happening is victim mentality versus victor mentality. Victim mentality is not cool. I don't know why people like being oppressed. It's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. I love oppression. We're oppressed. 400 years of slavery, Jim Crow, which, by the way, none of you guys lived through. Your grandparents did, and it's embarrassing that you utilize their history. You're not living through anything right now. You're overly privileged American. Truth is that the left wants to strap black people to this idea that they are victims. That's what it comes down to. They do not want black people focused on their futures. They want black people focused on their past. They like black people to be government dependent. They don't like to see black people that are free thinkers and are independent. And I think that's what Kanye West and myself represent. This is a tremendous time to be alive as a black American. We've been existing under this facade, these lies the Democrats have orchestrated because they consider us a low information voter market, you know, and so they think we're not going to research the stats and we'll never find out.
I hate the race card. It's played every election year.
Every 4 years, the Democrats rally to get the African-American vote, and we give it to them because, well, Republicans are racist, right? We usher them straight into the White House where they immediately forget about all of the promises that they made to us. For so long, they have told us that because there was a black president, this meant progress. Progress is not a skin tone. Progress is a number, okay? And for so long, we've been convinced, look, he's taking a photo op with Beyonce and Jay-Z. That means absolutely nothing. Chicago got worse while Obama was in office, and he came from there. It's just the truth. It's what I've been preaching about long before Kanye wrote this 7-word tweet that broke the internet, is that they enslaved our bodies, the Democratic Party, but say they have enslaved our minds. I was a liberal, and I can tell you exactly why. It has to do with the educational system. We learned our history wrong. We learned that LBJ was the greatest president for black America, and that couldn't be more false. I mean, what he did essentially enslaved us, the Democratic Party.
I love the way Candace Owens thinks.
Red Pill Black, ladies and gentlemen, is the YouTube site. For now, they're trying to ban her. Candace Owens is here, who the establishment is demonizing, because this is the future. The people now have a voice. The people now all have their own TV network. And it's game over for the arrogant people at MSNBC, CNN, and even Fox trying to stop this revolution has gotten watered down and lost half their ratings. Don't they get it? You're not going to stop progress.
I think that they are starting to get it because, as you said, they're losing and they keep losing and they can't stop losing. And it's an exciting time to be alive. And I encourage everybody out there, get your voice out there. Don't be scared to say whatever you're thinking. Nobody can stop you.
Well, I'm just impressed with all the work you're doing and the fact that you didn't give up when they banned your videos, blocked your videos. You fought back. They had to restore them. So many people quit. No, you never quit. They're just trying to wear you out. And now there's about to be antitrust hearings. Trump's appointing a guy to the Federal Trade Commission that wants to go after Google. I mean, it's on.
Good. I'm so excited to hear about Google because they are really doing the most evil work behind the scenes. And Facebook, too. They were, totally promoting that article. If you search for me on Facebook, that salon hit, the new face of the toxic right, the new face of the toxic right, it had 20 shares. I had videos that had average 100,000 shares every time just one person puts it on their platform on Facebook. And that was what was coming up.
Well, Google admits their whole algorithm's fake now.
Right. Yeah, they admit it. So I
mean, you type in vaccine damage, you get 20 pages of BS saying no, there's no danger in vaccines when the inserts say they can kill you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it all just changed the last year. I mean, Google's extincted itself.
Jeff Bezos, another character that is completely evil. If you're thinking him buying Whole Foods upsets me. They just keep acquiring more and more and more and more, and people have to sit and they have to think deeply about the implications of these people controlling everything from your food to your media to your Google. Jeff Bezos is on Twitter, Google, he's Whole Foods, Amazon. It's just, these are things that we have to really think about to understand the globalist environment and how we can break out of it.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited about taking you and your crew to dinner tonight. So during the break, before we get the next guest on, I want to thank you for coming on.
Absolutely.
You're going to be on with Owen today. And then go take a rest or whatever, but tell me what kind of food you want tonight. We also got you some good Tex-Mex you wanted, so that's in there in the conference room. But I just really look forward to taking you to dinner, and I hope you can be a contributor with Infowars. I don't watch a lot of Fox, but I do watch some of Hannity and some of Tucker, but I like the morning show.
Tucker's got the best faces.
Yeah, he does. He does. I wish all those folks would come on and debate me. They won't do it. Maybe if we give you a show or if you're gracious of doing with us, then maybe you can get them on. Maybe it's like less threatening, though. I think you're probably more intellectual than I am.
Thank you. I appreciate that compliment. I'm going to accept it.
But I'm not just saying it. I mean, you just lay it all out so ladylike, but also it's good stuff.
Yeah, that's what I try to do. I try to, I keep it really PG, and I try to keep it honest. So thank you so much for supporting me and for having me here.
What are they going to do as it comes out? Bombshell, Podesta worked with the same Ukrainians as Manafort. And when it turns out both Podesta brothers got tens of millions of dollars from the Russians with Hillary to transfer the uranium, something we broke a year and a half ago, and that they have the Russian connections, not us. No wonder they did this, just like Roger Stone said a year and a half ago. They blamed us for what they've done.
Right. But hypocrisy is their middle name. You know what I mean? They don't care. They can get caught doing the things over and over again, and they can be caught red-handed, as they have been done over and over again, and they don't care. They double down on their ignorance time and time again. And honestly, it's just it's getting boring at this point.
But that's the stunt. They just, like parrots on every channel, say Russia, 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 Russia. When the FBI, former FBI head Mueller, was the bagman for uranium and in companies getting millions of dollars himself from the Russians, you literally have a guy with the Russian arm up his rear end puppeting him. He's a sock puppet, then claiming the people that aren't are the Russian agents.
Right, and that's what they do. That is what they do.
Well, you know, this is going to be all over the news. This is going to be everywhere. Like proof, they yelled at him and said he was a Russian. And this is what they do to me. It's so pathetic.
Right. They said that yesterday about me, you know, that I'm somehow a spy. I mean, they turn things, anything that's a threat to them, they try to control the narrative.
That's because they're the outsiders. Yeah. They're the globalists. Yeah. I'm ranting. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. They are the globalists, and that is exactly true. And they're losing power. So what we're seeing is kind of like a psychosis, you know, and they don't know what to do. They're losing power. They've been in power for so long, and a new media is emerging, and they are not in control of it. What does it mean when a girl can flip over her laptop and get millions of views, that it can be circulated 80 million views on Facebook, dubs in Portuguese and in French, which means we're not just hitting an American sentiment. It's a worldwide sentiment that we're being lied to. Their time is running up. It's a great time to be lying. I'm personally excited about it.
You got Kanye West. I don't care what people think. People don't think. I like him more than now that I know he liked Trump. That's why they literally grabbed him and threw him for a week in a mental institution when he started tweeting that he liked Trump.
He
went to visit Trump and they threw him in a mental institution.
I am the biggest. I've always been the biggest supporter of Kanye West, not just because I followed his music, and I knew as soon as Trump came out, I wrote on my Facebook page, Kanye's going to come out supporting Trump, because all he promotes is individualism. Everything that he does is against globalists, and people didn't understand that moment when he took the trophy from Taylor Swift. It was actually because she didn't deserve the award, and she got it because they were trying to appease people. So
they fix all those awards.
And that's what he was saying.
And now I get it.
You get it?
And now I get that I was buying into their propaganda myself, because I don't really pay attention to pop stuff.
Right. And I listen to his music, so I understood what he was saying. Why am I here? If this is all puppetry, why am I here? Why did I show up? We all know she didn't deserve this award, and she didn't. And he never went along with her narrative, and he has died on the cross time and time again as an expression to be able to say that.
Literally, he has no criminal record, nothing, no mental problems. He goes and visits Trump. A week later, they throw him in a mental institution for a week till he's able to get himself out.
You know, the saddest part to me with
how long was he in? 3-4 days?
I think it was about a week. And the saddest part to me was just that the Black community, he has been so inspiring for all of us. And it was sad to see them that easily manipulated and saying, oh, well, you know, Kanye just must be going crazy because he supports Trump. It's all insanity, and it's getting more insane. And I'm just hoping that with my voice added to the mix, people can start to wake up. And it makes me happy that you say, yeah, I had Kanye West wrong, because at various times we've all bought into the propaganda. You know, and that's why I try to approach things with sympathy. When I go and I meet with liberals and I speak to them, I try to say, listen, I was one of you. I was one of you a year and a half ago. So, and you were, elements of you were, you know, it's everyone buys into their narrative at some point, but we are waking up, we are stronger together, and as long as we have each other's backs, the globalists are going to lose. I feel very strongly about that.
One of the least racist places you'll be is at a real Tea Party or a Trump rally. There's still some racists there on both sides, but I mean, it's just the experience. And now that people broken through that wall, the media said Tea Party's racists don't go to it. As more minorities actually go, they're finding out all the love. Right. And that's what's panicking the globalists.
Right. And it has been unbelievable. I have never seen more love and more kindness. I gave a speech last night at Texas State University to their young conservatives. Then when I meet other conservatives and I show up and I speak to them.
Woo!
They're awesome.
We're going to be back. We're winning. We're on the march. The empire's on the run.
Victim mentality is not cool. I don't know why people like being oppressed. It's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. I love oppression. We're oppressed. 400 years of slavery, Jim Crow, which, by the way, none of you guys lived through. Your grandparents didn't. It's embarrassing.
Vote for us. We love black people. Wait a second. Didn't you say that 4 years ago? I mean, yeah, but you can't vote for the other guys. They're racist. The African-American community is suffering from a poor memory with a healthy spoonful of indoctrination. I mean, from the time that we are in grade school, we are told Democrats, good, Republicans, bad. And we repeat that ad nauseum without ever stopping and just researching. Do you want to know why Democrats who own the media are working so tirelessly to tell you that if you ever vote against them, you are going to be waking up one day with Klansmen surrounding you? Because if they lost even 25% of the African-American vote, they would be in deep trouble. All of their globalist efforts would die. Seriously. In fact, that's why they're working overtime to also marginalize other groups like transgender people and gay people. They are scaring everybody at every corner. The mission is simple, guys. Divide and conquer.
Red Pill Black, follow her there, Red Pill Black on YouTube. Millie Weaver has an idea to start, kind of like the five, but not have it be just 5 people, but I think 5 women. And I think somebody like you could probably anchor that.
Right. Yeah, there definitely needs to be a new media, and women definitely need to have a platform, a true platform, not being told what to say by producers that have an incentive.
Well, I know that's what I want to watch. I mean, I'm a guy, and it's not just watching girls because they look nice. I kind of just get sick of guys, you know? So it's fun to see women's perspectives.
Absolutely. And it's an exciting time to be alive. And I encourage everybody out there, get your voice out there. Don't be scared to say whatever you're thinking. Nobody can stop you.
Harvey Weinstein, Eminem, plus a P. Diddy solution to NFL protesting. My name is Candace Owens, and you are watching my vlog series, The Myth of the Coon. Man, life comes at you fast, Hollywood. It's like 1 minute you're up there singing and tap dancing, mocking everyone from your moral high ground, and the next minute, bam! The world discovers that you've been covering up for a serial rapist. America voted for a misogynist, said every actor and actress everywhere, just after they had got finished smooching up to Harvey Weinstein. We know, celebrities, this is different. If we've learned one thing from your undying support of Woody Allen and the Clintons, it's that rape is totally fine so long as it's financed by globalists.
Thank you, Hillary, for being a constant beacon of strength, hope, and determination for me and millions of other young women. You've been a role model and an inspiration and a voice of reason in uncertain times.
Sniffle. The point is that I was really hoping that Bill Clinton, a rapist, would be in the White House. You taught us that women can be raped so long as it's by your husband. This is me holding my breath for Stephen Colbert to pen a musical number on the horrible actions of Harvey Weinstein. Also holding my breath for a newly organized women's march with 2.0 pussy hat designs. Okay, can I at least get a Kimmel cry? Come on, Jimmy. You cried for Cecil the Lion. You can at least squeeze one out for Weinstein victims. Thanks, Jimbo. And speaking of men who disrespect women and are somehow celebrated in Hollywood, have you heard Eminem's new diss track? Personally, as a former fan, I was a little disappointed. After years of hearing about how you wanted to rape and kill your ex-wife and even your mom, calling Trump and Steve Bannon racist felt a little PG, like Eminem on a diet, sugar-free shady. In fact, the only people that should be offended by Eminem's diss track is CNN, because plagiarism is a no-no.
Racism, religion.
Racism. If you want to see the full video, it's got about 3 minutes left. It's powerful. It's gone viral. It's Harvey Weinstein, Eminem, and Why the Left Can't Stop Losing by Candace Owens, known as Red Pill Black on Twitter and on YouTube. And she's been censored. She's been blocked. She's gone through a lot, but fought back, and they've had to back off. They just want to wear us out and get us to quit. But Candace, I want you to tell about your story first, because you were already viral before Paul kind of, got you on his show. Now you've been all over Fox News. I've seen you everywhere, just doing an amazing job. But Paul, introducing how the left goes around intimidating YouTube personalities that they see as successful, bullying them into joining their cult, Just like when young college students get to college, they say, get in here to the dorm. The racists are out there. The KKK's on campus. Let us indoctrinate you before you go outdoors. They're burning crosses. They did this in a cyber way to her. Introduce Candace Owens for folks.
Oh, I mean, Alex, there's nothing more dangerous to the left than a young, well-educated, intelligent, black conservative woman. Nothing more. That's like kryptonite to them, which is why they came after her immediately after she started getting a lot of attention, you know, back a couple of months ago. Also now with Candace, there's a big hit campaign against her, which is taking something she did like over a year ago, this social autopsy website, and saying that that's what she's now planning, even though that was before her whole red pill moment. Total ignorance. They don't even know where she came from. They haven't even watched a single interview of hers, obviously. So now that, again, they're trying to hit her on that. So whatever this young lady's doing, she's definitely putting the fright into.
I'll tell you what they're doing. They just want to confuse everything to get her off balance and think she needs to respond to it. She just needs to respond once and she's done, and move forward with how they are losing and how they are pathetic. Paul Watson, thank you so much for joining us, my friend, and thank you for bringing this young lady to my attention.
Thank you, Paul.
All right, thanks, guys. Take care.
There he goes. Wow, thanks for coming into town.
I'm so happy to be here.
Great to have you. You're even more impressive in person. It's wonderful to have you. Where should you start in the few minutes we've got to break? I think you should recap what the feminist cult tried to do to you, you know, in your own words. They just thought, basically, you're a woman, you're reportedly, you know, supposedly a minority, and then so you belong to them.
Right, absolutely. So long story short, I considered myself a Democrat and a liberal about a year and a half ago as Trump was kind of rising up. I was trying to build a product called Social Autopsy, which Paul just mentioned, and essentially I thought I was creating something that was going to help stomp out bullying. My passion behind it was well-intended, but it was totally naive and not something that now I know that I shouldn't have done. And while I was doing that product, I was contacted by these, you know, self-proclaimed feminists, and they basically tried to take me out. The same women that were saying that they were being attacked by anonymous trolls on the internet were telling me that they didn't want to figure out who these anonymous trolls were. And long story short, I figured out that these girls were harassing themselves, that it was all a lie, and that there was no movement of white male conservatives that were stalking and harassing these girls. And when I made that statement, the left media came after me and tried to smear me. I was literally force-fed the red pill, which is why I can call myself red pill black. You wake up one day and everything that you thought was real was a lie. I felt like I was being kicked down the rabbit hole. And it was incredibly psychologically challenging to go through, to be honest. And then a year later, I said, I'm in this. I'm jumping in this, and I'm going to be involved, and I'm going to speak up because everything Trump is saying is true about the media. And I flipped open my laptop, and 2 videos went viral. And it's because I was tapping into a subconscious. People are tired.
And now you've reached hundreds of millions of people, and now I've seen them demonize you on controlled corporate media, but I've seen you on Fox News.
Yeah.
And so now, I mean, let me guess, you walk down the street, do you run into more fans than haters?
Oh, absolutely. And especially, there's such a movement happening. Even when I was in LA, I was shocked to see that there's this young conservative movement that is happening, and they're so optimistic and they're so happy. And of course, I do get some detractors and some haters, but that is to be expected. I named my series The Myth of the Coon, fully understanding that was going to be the first thing that they called me. And all I can do is encourage people to be smart and be vigilant, because the lies are going to keep coming. We saw that yesterday, which Paul mentioned. They said that I was like a government shill and that I was secretly going to go back and start to dox children. Complete lie, fabrication, but that is what they're trying to do, turn conservatives.
Well, that's all they've got.
People know. The mainstream media, they are hitmen, okay? They go after certain people. They are paid to go after certain people, and they're paid to keep certain people in power. And unfortunately, with the rise of Donald Trump, they've lost, and they keep on losing. I fully believe what Steve Bannon said, that if he runs again in 2020, he's going to win by a way wider margin, because people are waking up day by day, and I get so many inboxes on Facebook flooded by black people. Thank you so much. I knew something was up. I'm feeling inspired. I feel encouraged to come out and say what I believe in. You know, I knew this was shady on campus, and that I feel like I'm being lied to. So it is happening. The movement has started and is not going to stop.
When you talk about a re-education camp, in 2010, it leaked, and they said, no, it's a real document that Jones got. How did he get it? And the Army's response was, a few months later, just to release it. It was a field manual for internment. And it talks about Social Security numbers, how to process Americans. So it's for here and overseas. And it says we're going to put people in re-education camps that don't go with the collectivist model during the collapse. They were planning an engineered collapse under Hillary.
Wow.
And that's the authoritarian communist term is re-education camp. But when you look at a re-education camp, it's where you get a bunch of people in a sports stadium. Those that submit get taken care of. Those that don't get beat up and attacked. It's a peer pressure thing. And it's about getting you to denounce yourself as bad, getting you to also rat other people out. Well, that's what colleges, high schools, and businesses are now.
Right.
It's basically Maoist-style re-education camps, and people get off the bus. You pay to send them to college. They get off, and they're scared, and they bring them in. The professors bring them in, scare the hell out of them, especially minorities, and induct them into a cult right then. And they were doing that cyber-wise with you, but you got wise to it, and now are a major titan against them. And we are back live, now entering the 4th hour of my daily transmission. It is the 2nd day of May, 2018. I'm your host, Alex Jones. If you just watched the last 30 minutes, you saw Candace Owens in studio, but back in, December of 2017. Now, let me explain something here, why I did this. I don't chase Hollywood. I don't chase stars. I don't chase all that. Our audience hates it. I don't like it either. We're about building something outside the system. We're based in Texas. We're about pointing out how it's been used to control us. But when Kanye West comes out and has the courage to go against the system and to call for free thinking and gets demonized, I get excited. And I remember Candace Owens talking about how much she admired Kanye West and how she wanted to work with him and how she dreamed to do that at dinner and on the streets of Austin and on my show and Owen's show and you name it. So I said, hey, we ought to re-air that old interview in a couple days. And they said, what's crazy, we watched it. It's all about what's happening now and awakening and challenging the system. So I said, yeah, let's air it. And then I thought last night, I went, wait a minute. Let's doll it up and add some of the new clips and stuff and not say it's new. We're not going to deceive our audience. Just say Candace Owens coming up on the show. And I even said, I bet thought police like Ben Shapiro, whose job is to take over the conservative movement and then kind of pseudo-liberalize it with more elitism, more foppish behavior. I said, I bet somebody like him and others jump on it and say, don't come on the show. So we'll start saying that morning she's going to be on, which she was, in this very studio, in an old interview, edited into new interviews, and it'll cause a big hubbub, and it'll be about free speech. Now, here's another thing. 4 months, 5 months went by like 10 seconds. I'm like, why hasn't Candace been back on? She's big in the news. I want to hear her take. But we're not chasing the tail of a story. That's not how you get a big story. You break stories. We've had hundreds and hundreds of top news cycle stories. I mean, they attack us thousands of times a week everywhere. It's great to be infamous. It's like I'm the heel in professional wrestling, but this is for real. The globalists are pissed. But I start text messenger. They call her, she didn't call back. Paul, I know, who didn't put her on the map. She's really smart, really beautiful. She deserves to be there, has a lot of courage. The feminists were bullying her, trying to mind control her. Paul said, this woman's incredible. Started getting her on. And she's exploded. That's all I wanted to see, was somebody that deserved to be big. But then there's the thing where you circle back around, and you're like, hey, come on the show. You get ignored. So Paul called her and texted her. She said, well, I'm just really busy. I'll come on Thursday. That was last week. Well, I'll come on Monday. Then no call. And that's when I decided Monday. I said, you know, let's just re-air it. Then I thought yesterday, let's do it this way. To then get Candace's attention, but everybody else's, that I don't live and die by having Candace Owens on the show. Infowars, Paul Watson, with our huge audience, pushed her over the top to get recognized and get what she deserved and needed. Just like Matt Drudge has helped push us. It'd be like if I told Matt Drudge someday, I won't talk to you or you can't link to my stories. He'd be like, okay, you're mentally ill. It's a chicken or the egg. I'm the chicken. She's the egg. And she needs to know that she's a chicken now. She's going to have many eggs of her own. But it does hurt your feelings when you try to invite somebody back on nicely and, whoa, you work with Fox News, you're in the Fox Club, you're in the, you know, Republican student movement. They're like, oh, that's not safe. We brought Trump. The populist movement brought Trump. We brought 1776. We have the tens of millions of viewers and listeners a day. We're the ones under attack. But it isn't like we're chasing after Fox News. I'll never forget when they had Fox News say, Jones wants a show here, but we don't want him. Fox News offered me 3 shows. I wouldn't even go audition for him. It's a lie. I'm bigger than Limbaugh, you name it. Only thing bigger is Matt Drudge, and I'm not having a pissing contest. So I love seeing Candace all up there on TV, great outfits, hair done all up like she deserves, being treated like a princess. That's real progress. That's real power. So I thought this is how we'll get her attention, where we can get in the news with you, Candace, anytime we want. If you think you're going to get attacked coming on here, but that's what she said in a tweet back to the thought police officer Shapiro. She said, disrespecting any platform watched by millions is silly. Talking about Infowars. Please stop telling me or Kanye no or can't or shouldn't. Advice appreciated. Commands shut down. And this really exposed the fake right-wing thought police, like that snot-nosed, arrogant creature, Ben Shapiro. All right, I had a bunch of in-studio audience and a bunch of crew here. They're like, who's Ben Shapiro? Well, he's an anointed neocon snot-nose who walks around making Richard Pearl-type faces, where he tries to act scary and powerful. He just recycles a bunch of libertarian conservative thought and a bunch of other think tank stuff. And I just noticed he's always criticizing me and always trying to keep people off my show while he makes little faces like this. I mean, these are the faces 5-year-olds make when they're playing G.I. Joe. So I don't care he's some little Twitter guy and everything and into himself, but he's always trying to police me. And then I say, hey, come on the show. And my God, he's Ben Shapiro. I mean, he's a god. He doesn't reach 86 million people the week of the election. That doesn't matter. He doesn't reach conservatively 5 to 6 million actual viewers and listeners a day, bigger than Limbaugh. No, he's not being sued by George Soros and Hillary Clinton and being called the dark art. No, he is the anointed. Just like a leftist, he has this arrogance. And so it blew up in his face today. Candace Owens was here. She wanted us to hire her. I knew she was a great star. I blinked, 4 months went by with all the distractions I have. And she works with Turning Point, who are great folks, and is on Fox News everywhere, and that's wonderful. I just hope she doesn't just join the Fox Club and become like a collected stamp in their repertoire. But she's a star. She's got electricity, you name it. I knew when she was on with us a bunch back 4 or 5 months ago, and then that the new right was like, don't have her on. She's an operative. She's a doxer, all this bull. And I said, I want her on a lot. Well, somehow I blinked, and 4 months later, she's Kanye West. It's all exploded. It's everywhere. That's great. But I know how stories work. Her coming on now doesn't include us in that story. We're already in thousands of stories a day that don't matter. What matters is an audience of focused people that understand free market and action. But to illustrate these right-wing gatekeepers, I put a tweet out earlier when Ben Shapiro was saying, no, like Luke Skywalker, no, it's not true. It's impossible. He was criticizing Kanye West in a YouTube I came across and watched 20 seconds of, like last week, saying, don't trust Kanye. He'll stab you in the back. He's not perfect. He's fighting the establishment. He's breaking out of the mold. He's saying be a free thinker. It doesn't mean we endorse everything he does, but we go on whose shows we want. We talk about what we want. We're not coastal elites, and most folks on the coast aren't elites, but they're the coastal elites that live there that want to run everything. So he said, no, no, Candace, no. Now let's scroll down and actually, yeah, there it is. No, no, no. I make powerful faces. I'm in command now. Facebook, YouTube, and Google, leave me alone and let my videos spread. I'm not censored because I'm anti-establishment. I'm the mighty Ben Shapiro. There's no need to fear. Ben Shapiro, the neocon, is here, and he'll teach us how to be intellectual like Karl Rove does. So, Candace says, disrespecting any platform watched by millions in response to him is silly. Please stop telling me and or Kanye no, can't or shouldn't. Advice appreciated, commands shut down. But let's go ahead and show, if we can now, my tweet saying, oh, look, Ben Shapiro crawled out from under his thought police rock with this type of anti-free speech position. He really ought to be the head of the Democratic Party. I was paraphrasing. Ben Shapiro crawls out from under his thought police rock to tell real Candace Owens and Kanye West they should not come on my show. Shocking authoritarianism. Maybe they should make Ben the head of the Democratic Party. So, bringing up Roger Stone with what he predicted, the so-called obstruction that they were never going to stop, this rogue, runaway special counsel that's controlled by the executive, but the media says is God, involved in Uranium One, all the corruption. It comes to a head just like Roger over a year ago predicted. He's going to cover all that in the next few segments. Then he's going to confront Comey at another place there in Naples, Florida, coming up in the next few hours with live feeds at Infowars.com during the War Room that's in 50 minutes. But, man, I didn't say she was on live. I said, Candace Owens, we're going to have a Candace Owens interview today. She'll talk about Kanye. And the way the neocons and the left flipped out, I knew, saying, no, 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 this is what they do. This is, and then they say don't have Candace Owens on with the same bull. So shouldn't Candace Owens, just like Scott Adams said, you know, I was too busy to come on your show last week, but so many people told me not to, just without me even saying anything about you, that I said I better do this. I mean, and again, it's not like even I need Candace Owens to come on the show. It wouldn't be that big of an interview. It's always the big thing that's big. Once you try to follow it, it's always breaking the thing that's big, folks. It's not covering it. I want to say congratulations on your success. Hey, so wonderful. How's it going? You know, you transcended your critics, all those people trying to demonize you, the feminists trying to bully you and mind control you and false flag you. Man, this is awesome. Great job, Paul Watson, you know, bringing you to my attention. You're really awesome. But she's like, whoa, I'm kind of too big. People are saying don't come on right now. You know, whatever. So I said, hey, you've already been on. Watch how I make this the news cycle. It's already all over the news, lady. And I'm just showing you how it works, Candace, because you're smart, you're good looking, you got star appeal, but I'm teaching you, if I want to troll as bad as Trump does, I can do it 360. And I've decided to start doing it. So everybody's got forewarning. Now, I did it very cleanly. It's a white troll, not an evil troll. I did a troll, a golden troll, where I said, oh, we got an interview with her coming up, just to watch what they did. I mean, this is amazing. And I love Candace, and I love Kanye, and I admire his courage, and look how he's under attack. He should double down and say, they found tens of millions of living women of the 80 million the Chinese have killed hiding in their basements. That's millions of Anne Franks. How big's that story? Nobody's covering it. Washington Post admits it. Upwards of 30 million of the 80 million still may be living. What kind of story is that? 30 million girls hiding? Or hundreds of babies found in every trash bin in major cities in Pakistan as the family stone baby girls to death, deciding they don't want them. Where are the feminists on that? Well, Linda Sarsour says shut up, you know, to Islamic women that stand up. I mean, it's such a fraud. All I'm saying is Kanye's a racist. He said, stop having a slave mentality, fight back. That's exactly what Harriet Tubman said. She said, I freed 1,000 slaves. The leader of the abolitionist movement, the Underground Railroad. Is she racist like Kanye now? All these babies that never fought any of this themselves? I freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed thousands more if only they knew they were slaves. Harriet Tubman. Candace Owens and Kanye are putting that out. So, what do you think of this, my friend, the way they charge in trying to gatekeep everything? Go ahead.
Well, Alex, I must say I'm very disappointed in Candace. Last Wednesday, I asked our friend Tyler Nixon to go to an appearance that Candace had in Denver, Colorado, to ask her to come on our Infowars show, the Alex Jones show, that day. While she was polite, she said she was just much too busy. One thing I've learned in American politics, Alex, you got to dance with those that brung you. And I think you helped put this young lady on. I agree with you. She's got star potential. She's charismatic, she's articulate, and I like her message. But she's absolutely right in her tweet. One of the things that aggravates me more than anything else is when people say to me, well, how can you go on with Alex Jones? How can you go on Infowars? Let's make two things clear. First of all, we reach millions of people, of freedom-minded patriots. Number two, when you go on CNN, does that mean you agree with everything Wolf Blitzer has ever said? You and
well, that's what Mark Dice. That's what Mark Dice tweeted at him. Mark Dice tweeted at Shapiro and said, "You go on CNN, you go on NPR, buddy. They're gatekeepers. Plus, they lie about what I stand for. They lie about you. They say you're in the NXIVM cult. You did consulting for one of their businesses for 2 months. I checked the records. I don't just believe you. And Jones says there's Martian bases. Jones, you know, it's all lies. And so we just put up with the bullying."
But the reason they do it is because our audience is so large, because we are the tip of the spear, because they know we can motivate literally hundreds of thousands of people to take direct political action. They fear Infowars. I really hope Candace Owens will reconsider and come back home. I'm not going to say she owes us because she has her own talent, but you promoted her when no one else would, and now she's gone on to what she thinks are greener pastures.
When they were trying to suppress her with whisper campaigns saying she was a doxer and a fraud and a criminal, we championed her in articles, we pushed her over the top, and it's fine. We just hope she doesn't do that to other people because we don't need Candace Owens. We have the Promethean fire. We hope she now has it and gives it to other people. Let's have your Skype reconnect. It's breaking up a bit. You're making incredible points, Roger Stone. But, hey, I just showed Candace and everybody else. I can do whatever I want, and I just took over the news cycle. Watch it happen. We'll be back. You will not take it away. By the way, Candace Owens, I love her being one of the top things in the news. This cool, smart lady who's free market, who's about not being in the victimology, and who they're trying to censor, exploding. And now, where was she really an hour ago? She wasn't live with us on air. That was an old interview that's all over the news now with all her big truth bombs recycled. She's with Donald Trump Jr. And boy, you know they're going to demonize her for being with Donald Trump Jr. And they're one of the heads of Turning Point USA. I flew back to Austin with the head of Turning Point USA right after the inauguration. They're nice folks. Doing a great job on college campuses, trying to wake people up. But here's the deal. The White House watches. The White House listens. You listen. The globalists are constantly demonizing us. They're constantly attacking us for a reason. We're rebooting Americana. We're promoting things that really make sense. That's why they misrepresent us. That's why they demonize us, because they're scared. We're the tip of the spear, thanks to our audience and supporters and TV and radio affiliates across the country. I saw Roger bleep out. Let's try to get him back. Now, here's what I want to say about Ben Shapiro. And Matt, one of the producers, pointed this out, and I actually knew this. I hadn't really said it because I haven't been focused on Glenn Beck. Why is Ben Shapiro so angry at me? Why is he always trying to put me down? Why is he always talking about how I'm so evil and sounding like some leftist and telling Candace Owens and Kanye West, don't come on his show? Why is he doing that? Well, because the folks that took over Glenn Beck's network about 2 years ago, these multinationalists, they are pushing Ben Shapiro to be the head of Glenn Beck's TV station and his radio shows if Glenn Beck completely retires due to his issues. And so Ben Shapiro is going to take over, the word is, the failed Mercury network. So that's what's happening. That's why YouTube and Google and all them still let him get promoted and don't censor him. And why he calls for our censorship is because, just like Glenn Beck, Ben Shapiro is a Judas goat to control the movement, a neocon. So there you go. That's why this is happening. He's super intellectual. He's super smart. He's your leader. He's the leader like Glenn Beck was. Just like 18 years ago, 17 years ago, I got approached. Well, I got to go to the Ben Shapiro boys. And I got approached, and they said, we want you to put out these book deals. You'll have a show on Fox on the weekend, and then it'll be weekdays. You're going to be bigger than Limbaugh. You're going to be better than Hannity, and we're going to pay you $3 million a year. And then it got bigger. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. Because they said, we're going to have editorial control. These were off-record meetings, so I can't release it. One of our producers, John Harmon, famously heard Rothkopf, the head of the Kissinger Group, offer me a bunch of stuff and then get pissed when I didn't take it. So I can talk about that because it wasn't off record. He was on as a guest and started during the break saying, I want to talk to Alex off air. He's like, Alex, come join us. You should work with us. You're part of the superclass. It'll be great. Come on up to New York. We'll fly up here. He goes, oh, you don't want it? Oh, you're crazy. Okay, whatever. I'm not going to do the interview anymore. And I'm like, well, let's finish the debate. So here's the deal, Ben. I understand you're super intellectual and like no one knows who you are outside of Twitter and YouTube, but you think you're like God. And you don't think we don't see what's going on with Peterson and all the rest of it, kind of the leftist move into common sense? Well, you have one arm saying no family, no common sense. That's the vanguard of the left. And then you'll have the reasonable left in the middle to kind of control the debate, but kind of keep you an outpost. I get it all. I know why you and Peterson don't come on. I know you think like you're like super Machiavellian and everything, and all you got investors, that from Israel, nothing against Israel, but they're buying up Glenn Beck and everything. You don't think I don't know about everything that happened with Glenn Beck and what was set up with Glenn Beck? How about I tell everything, Shapiro? How about I dump it all on air? Oh, I know you are so smart, Shapiro. You act so tough. Dude, they shouldn't come on your show because you're awful. Have I been unclear about this anyway? Oh, that's what he says, God Shapiro. Ben Shapiro crawls out from under his thought police rock. Shocking authoritarianism. And he's like, they shouldn't go on because you're awful. Wow. He's not on TV reading a script of what somebody else intellectually wrote to sound smart. When he actually tweets, it's like, you're awful, man. What, I'm a racist? What, I'm a homophobe? I'm a Russian spy? That's all leftist crap. Same deal. You're awful. No one should go on your show. You're awful. Well, if it's awful, leave. Oh, I know. All the Democrats are suing me. Soros is, all the rest of it. And you're there making sure, don't go to him. I'm in charge. I'm Ben Shapiro. I run things, me. The amazing Shapiro. What a joke. I haven't set my guns on you yet because your lord and master, Beck, already sunk his ship, and you will sink your ship as well, young one. No need to do that, baby Sith. Now, let's go back to Roger Stone. I know you got major stuff to talk about with Trump. I want you to... He's still having Skype problems. He's on the road. But, I mean, these attacks on free speech, we'll get into Mueller and all your predictions coming true, but this is unbelievable. I'm awful. You're awful. No one should come on you. I tell people who go on. I am the boss. This leftist entitlement of this Glenn Beck retread, the reboot of the failed Beck, Judas Goat, attack the conservative movement, try to lead it into the pits, is now back in the, I guess, in the form of the herpes of Glenn Beck. What is the herpes of Glenn Beck? In my view, it has been Shapiro. A fetid, scrofulous, diseased, viral infection that continues to bloom and bloom and bloom and bloom. Ben Shapiro is the herpes on our ass. Anything else you'd like to add to that?
Well, Alex, don't mince words. Look,
but he's so intellectual. He's so powerful. He said, I'm awful, so people shouldn't come on. He said it. We should all, but what's crazy is everyone listens to the left and Shapiro when they do this. We all just bow down. Yes, our kids belong to you. Boys are out of Boy Scouts. No more father and mother. Yes, yes, yes. Whatever you say, Hillary. Whatever you say, Pelosi. Whatever you say, Shapiro. Yes, Mr. Shapiro. Oh, God, you're so manly. That face you make, you scare me. God almighty, you might tear my arm out of my socket. You might skull, annihilate me. You're powerful. You've got the manhood I want, Shapiro. Sorry, go ahead, Roger. Roger! Shapiro's too powerful! I love it when Roger does these shows from the road. He's got the worst Skype in the known galaxy. But if he was the amazing Shapiro, just get him on the phone. That's the rule. 5 Skype drops, 3 really. We go to telefono, the old telephone. And I love my crew. They're the best I've ever had. We have defaults. And when Skype drops 1, 2, 3, like strikes, a 1 a strike, a 2 a strike, a 3. Ben Shapiro, again, little vampire bat lands on your nightstand, flies through the open window. You wake up, you see a little greedy vampire bat dragging its tiny proboscis on the ground between its little legs. You see it moving towards you, attempting to remove the sheets from your lower extremities, drooling, small teeth, forward, eyes gleaming. Don't say no to it. Give yourself to it. He's superior. He controls reality. He controls speech. Hail Shapiro. Hail it. You know, I'm beginning to realize, instead of the Muslim call to prayer, we should have the call to Shapiro. Allah Muhammad Shapiro, you tell us who to interview, who to talk to. Oh, we love you. Candace Owens, do not come on. He says so. And now he's backtracking like a rat when you turn on the lights at 2 a.m. to go get a glass of milk, and there's the rat up there eating the fruit out of the fruit bowl and the cheese. It's crapping all over your kitchen table, and it just scrabbles, but it slicks out in its own feces and kind of falls off and hits the ground, and by then your foot goes right on it. And you're like, oh, I'm going to really have mercy on you. But you only break 2 of its legs politically, metaphysically, and then you step back. It's scrabbling. You go, I'm not going to hurt you anymore. You look at your big old tabby cat and you say, Ace, get that rat. And that's what happens with our audience. I've been waiting for you to make the wrong move, scumbag. Now you're in major target. Just like Beck. Submarine wolf packs prepare. Only surface enough to get your torpedoes right into his guts. You go ahead and make your smarty pants faces all day, and you pray your buddies at Google, Facebook, and Twitter can ban us before I get my hands on you and the rest of you guys. So I got a file on all of you. And I was already thinking I was ready to make your move, and I said, I think Shapiro will attack when we do this. You were a side note but I just metaphysically knew that if you surfaced, that was the sign of this jihad against you. So, prepare yourself, rodent creature. Most of my audience is like, who the hell's this? Yeah, he's not on 200 radio stations. He's not on over it's 300 now, I'm sorry, TV and cable systems. I don't want a glamour channel like I don't even give him advice. I don't want a glamour channel for $25 million. They tried to get me to buy Glenn Beck's channel 3 years ago, nincompoop, for $25 million a year. I said, no, thanks. Those are worthless channels. I target the TV stations directly. You notice the cable companies want you to buy a channel, or then they, quote, have carriage rights and pay you money back and all this other crap. They don't want you targeting UHF, VHF, and cable systems directly, because that's where all the audience is, on the lower cable dial, dumbass. But I know you're already heavily in negotiations for all this, so enjoy yourself. Plus, you're such a schmuck. You don't even take real advice when you get it because you're so smart. Excuse me. Roger Stone's back. I want to get into the big Mueller thing. I kind of went off on a jag. Now he's denying that he told them not to be interviewed by me, even though he did. He said, don't go on, no, no, no. Like Skywalker pissing himself in the presence of Darth Vader. Just hopping up and down like a gremlin, wanting to kill free speech. Finish up with Shapiro. Let's get into Mueller of the same ilk here that we're dealing with, Roger Stone.
Well, Alex, right now, even as we speak, Michael Caputo, who has appeared here at Infowars, regularly does commentary for Fox, worked with me in the Trump campaign, is being grilled by Robert Mueller and his subordinates.
Is this breaking? Is this an exclusive like last time, or is this already in the news?
It hit the Buffalo papers this morning.
Well, so they're grilling everybody. This is a total Nazi-level witch hunt. DrudgeReport.com have it?
I don't know that it has appeared on Drudge.
All right, guys, find it right now. Neil Caputo of Fox News, grilled by Lord Mueller.
Now, I know that Caputo went to the Senate Intelligence Committee yesterday for their murder board, and it was a carbon copy of the House Intelligence Committee inquiry. Nothing new, the same old garbage as cooked up by Adam Schiff and Eric Swalwell and other lesser lights in the Democratic Party. Now, poor Mike Caputo, who's lost clients, who has had multiple death threats, who is being driven into bankruptcy by this inquiry, is in with Mueller and his gumshoes right now, presumably being grilled about non-existent Russian collusion. The story in the New York Times that appeared yesterday,
okay, well, your phone cut out, and I'm sorry. It's Michael Caputo that worked on the campaign, not Neil Caputo. So I had a little brain fart, sorry. I had a little Shapiro there.
I understand. As we've talked about here at Infowars, this is a witch hunt. If you need any further proof of that, just look at the New York Times story yesterday, which is perjury trap after perjury trap in the list of questions that Mr. Mueller wants to ask the president. Now, we also learned this morning that only days, we learned that roughly a month ago, Mueller's subordinates threatened to subpoena the president of the United States.
Sure, which is his own branch of government, and they can't do, and it's total fraud. But let me ask you this question right now. Why doesn't Trump do it but agree that it'll be national televised and that he gets 6 questions first? And the first one is, on X date, the New York Times reports you delivered weapons-grade uranium on a secret tarmac meeting in Moscow to Vladimir Putin's agent. Next question. Hillary and her consorts took over $130 million from the Russians for Uranium One, and you reportedly, according to this report, ordered that investigation stop. Next question. You testified to Congress X, and now it's been admitted. Why? Comey said this in Congress then, now he says that. Either way, it's perjury. I mean, you can annihilate them, and I just say bring them in and give them full war. That little rat scumhead won't show up.
Well, the president needs to understand that he has the power and the authority here, that this is a rogue investigation. And that list of questions...
I know, but what would happen if he brought him in? What would happen if he brought that in? He would never show up. He said, yeah, you get your questions, here are mine. And the president should publish his questions for Robert Bill Clinton's butt boy Mueller.
It's a great idea. I think we both understand that Mr. Mueller would never agree to that. The only thing that would be better, Alex, is if they want to question you publicly. I would love to see that. After all, you're a Russian bot. We know that you take orders directly from Vladimir Putin. Everything we do here at Infowars is directed directly from the Kremlin. So this has reached a degree of absurdity. I have taken the position that the president shouldn't fire Mueller because of the political and public relations upper hand.
Because they built it up, it's too late. He should have done what you said early on, saying this is a rogue agency, you're fired, like he was a gnat he was slapping off his dog's rear end.
Well, and then yesterday we saw that a courageous band of Republicans in the House, led by Matt Gaetz and Jim Jordan and others, have drafted articles of impeachment for Rod Rosenstein. Why? Rosenstein refuses to hand over to the Congress documents pertaining to the origins of this phony Russian investigation. So what does Rosenstein do? He attacks the Republicans, saying he won't be extorted. The one who's trying to extort people is Rosenstein and a rogue Justice Department. My only question, having known Donald Trump for 40 years, is how much more of this crap he's going to take. This is an illegitimate investigation. It is now completely naked based on this New York Times story. Every one of those questions was a have you stopped beating your wife question.
Exactly. I'm not kissing your ass, Roger, because you annoy me a lot when you're on the regular Russia thing every day. You got to defend yourself. It's just so ridiculous. But I'm just being honest. But you're always long-term super on target. You, a year and a half ago, predicted everything that's happened. When his lawyers told him, no, it'll all end, you said, no, it's going to build towards obstruction. It's a total plan right into the 2018 where he says you're a criminal. Now the Democrats are in the Hill saying they plan to run on impeaching Trump. It's here. He's got to fight now. He's still got the people. He's turned the economy around. He's got North Korea. All this he needs. These are an enemy group. God almighty.
He will never have greater political leverage and support in the country than he has at this moment. 3% economic growth on the cusp of a historic peace agreement in North Korea.
And he's got to stop listening to all these wimps, the ones that said Beck would beat Trump and Shapiro and all the cowards. Stop caring. Go with your gut. Swing for the fences. We know you're Americana. We know they're all scared of you, the Chinese, the Russians. Let's go. We're America. We're back. They're the globalists. They're the enemy. They're the traitors. Nick DiPaolo is your guest. You had technical problems. I'm sorry I ran over one segment with him. You're coming up with him next, and you're going to confront Comey, that complete criminal fraud at a Barnes & Noble's where he's having his event. You'll tell folks they can be there in the next few hours. We'll have live streams, Lord willing, on the War Room with Owen Schroyer and you, and, of course, Infowars.com and NewsWars.com. But I tell you, I never felt better. I'm in full war mode. I don't give a hell. As long as we fight hard and give it all, that's what matters. I'm in total war mode. Let's go, America. Infowars, savage their asses, and buy all the products at InfoWarsStore.com and help our local affiliates as well. We just got hundreds of new TV affiliates this week. We are surging. We are turbocharging. We are victory.
Welcome back. You're on the Alex Jones Show, and I'm Roger Stone, pinch hitting from the field, working around some audio problems. I think it was Milton Berle, the great comedian, who said, drama is easy, it's comedy that's hard. I have been and am a huge fan of Nick DiPaolo, and recently I was very disappointed to hear that his show on Sirius, which I was a near religious follower of, was canceled because Nick evidently posted a tweet that some people objected to. Now, this is something I know a lot about since I have been banned for life on Twitter because I hurt Jake Tapper's feelings. So I am delighted that now my favorite comedian, Nick DiPaolo, joins us from New York City. Nick, welcome to Infowars.
How you doing, Roger? Glad to be here.
Excellent. So if you can, tell us what went down, if you're able to do so.
Last Friday, it was a tweet. It was based on that Fresno State professor, that female professor. After Barbara Bush died, she said she hopes the whole Bush family dies, and Barbara Bush was a racist, and blah, blah, blah. And so it was a reaction to that. And so I tweeted, dear future school shooters, please confine yourself to college campuses, specifically the faculty rooms at Fresno State and Berkeley, etc. And I left it up there for probably about 10, 15 minutes. I was getting some blowback. So I said, maybe that wasn't a smart thing. And I took it down. And then I went on my way. That weekend, I had gigs on the road. And I told my radio producer about it. He goes, you should have left it up there or whatever. Anyways, I don't hear anything till Monday morning. I get a call from my radio agent. And he says, I could tell the tone of his voice. He was like, we got a real situation here. And I knew right away it was the tweet. And next thing I know, I'm getting canned from Sirius Radio. And the ironic thing is, Roger, that I didn't even get reprimanded on Twitter, who has suspended me once before for wishing Barbara Streisand dying in her sleep. But who doesn't wish that on our side? Anyways, so the next thing you know, I'm getting canned from Sirius Radio. But also, here's the other thing, Roger. To be honest, my contract is up in a couple weeks at Sirius. So maybe it was my agent's theory and a few other people's theory that they used that as an excuse to boot me off. And they probably weren't going to renew me because the show was probably a little too rough for them. But I know it was doing good numbers-wise, but ostensibly I was fired for the tweet.
No, look, I think it was a great comedian I know that said political correctness is ruining this country. And he was absolutely right. My guess is that they canned you because you are politically incorrect, because you are right of center, because you're not afraid to speak your mind. Nick, I also have a feeling that you're going to surface elsewhere soon, because you are very, very funny. And this is about comedy. Now, I myself caught flack over my own comments regarding Barbara Bush. I recounted a story in which she accosted me at a Republican reception after Ronald Reagan defeated her husband in 3 primaries I was managing and told me that she hated me. She was inebriated. I was, take your pick, I either dropped out of or was disinvited to a Republican dinner in North Florida where I was the headliner over my comments. Perhaps my timing was bad, but I was quoted as saying that Barbara Bush drank so much booze that if they cremated her, her body would burn for 3 days. I said it. My timing could have been better. My wife was very unhappy with me. But we're politically incorrect here. We're not afraid to be politically incorrect here at Infowars, so I'm glad to have you today. Let me ask you this. How do you think the president is doing?
I think he's doing tremendously. And this whole, and it is a witch hunt. Can you imagine if this witch hunt wasn't going on, what he would have accomplished? He reminds me of like a running back with 2 guys hanging on his back, dragging them along. He's had headwinds since he got in there. And look, I mean, just the North Korea thing, the economy is booming, black and brown unemployment at record lows. I think he's accomplished a ton in the face of all this garbage, this frickin' witch hunt. And people they really should be ashamed of themselves. The people that believe that this is legitimate. It's been, what, a year and a half that they've been looking for collusion, not one sign. And as you know, Roger, because you're probably a lawyer, special counsel, they have all the time and all the money in the world. And Mueller's not going to stop until he finds something or makes something up. But this is an absolute disgrace. The Department of Justice has been weaponized under the Obama administration. And it's sickening. It should bother everybody on both sides of the aisle, regardless of how you vote. But I think he's doing a tremendous job. I wasn't even a huge Trump fan before he became president. But as a politician, I absolutely love his giant balls. And he went to Washington to shake it up. It's exactly what he's doing. Both the left and the right. One thing we agreed on for the last 40 years was Washington was broken. And then we bring in an outsider. And these people are cowering and trying to do everything to stop him. I think he's done a tremendous job.
Well, Nick, you can call me a lot of things, but please don't call me a lawyer, because I'm not one.
You're not a lawyer.
And I agree with Shakespeare. First thing we do is kill all the lawyers.
Kill all the lawyers. That's right.
No, that New York Times story was that New York Times story yesterday was extraordinary. Virtually every one of those questions was framed like, "When did you stop beating your wife?" Right. There's no good answer. What were you thinking, Mr. President, when you said X, Y, and Z? Let's be very clear. The President has the authority to fire James Comey anytime he wants. The President has the authority to fire the Keebler elf, Jeff Sessions, a man who's so obsessed with busting people for smoking state-legalized marijuana that he can't pay attention to the rampant corruption at the Clinton Foundation or this bogus Russian investigation. It's disgraceful. What I need to understand is when the President is going to wake up and understand this. If he doesn't get them, they will get him. They're not going to stop. This is a rogue operation. And if anything, their intentions are completely naked, completely and totally naked. I want to thank Nick DiPaolo for joining us. I'm going to ask him to come back next week when we have a little more time. But I have every confidence, Nick, that you're going to resurface on radio, continuing to do what you do so well. Bust the chops of the establishment, smash the face of political correctness in, and make people laugh. Thanks for joining us.
Working on it right now, Roger. So tell people to stay tuned.
Excellent. Folks, one more time, if you like Alex Jones calling out Ben Shapiro today, and I sure did, because as I have said consistently, our problem is not liberal Democrats. Our problem is country club establishment Republicans. Better a snake in the grass than an asp in the bosom. But if you like what we're doing here, please go to the Infowars store and recognize none of this programming is possible. None of our fight against the globalist is possible. None of our efforts to repel these phony lawsuits that are meant to do nothing but smear Alex Jones, Infowars, and generate negative headlines. None of this fight is possible without you. We are completely listener and viewer supported through the Infowars store site. And if you go there now, you can find some of our extraordinary specials on nutraceuticals. They make fun of us for selling nutraceuticals, but guess what Jeff Bezos and Whole Foods are doing? Here's the difference between us and Whole Foods, folks. Our products are of the highest quality. You get 20% more in volume, and Alex Jones uses the very, very best ingredients. Help fuel the fight for freedom. Help fuel the fight for the First Amendment. Help us repel the globalist scum that want to shut Infowars down, knock us off YouTube, knock us off Google, knock us off Facebook. Go to the store now. Look at some of these extraordinary specials. DNA Force, 50% off now. We need your help, Frank. We'll see you on the War Room tomorrow. Today, James Comey, 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern from the Adrian Arsh Performing Center in Miami at 1300 Biscayne.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
You're a white male! You're a white man!
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
Infowars comes to mind.
Alex Jones.
Alex Jones.
Alex Jones. There's a lot of controversy around this network about Alex Jones.
Google is being accused of hiding negative stories about Hillary and her campaign by changing its algorithm to bury stories like the Clinton body count story. That's according to website Infowars.
It sounds like it's confirmed there are at least 2 shooters with fully automatic weapons.
Dr. Martin Luther King has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee.
JFK was shot from the back and the front.
It was almost as if it were a planned implosion. It just pancaked.
They took the babies out of the incubators and left the children to die on the cold floor.
I think this is a national security imperative. We have clear things that we do not understand how they work, operating in areas that we can't control.
UFOs.
Is this global governance at last? Is it one world? The central bank is in charge.
Israel claims the attack was accidental, but Some former U.S. naval officers say it was on purpose. They describe the day's action as part of a continuing cover-up.
Russian intelligence compiled a dossier on Mr. Trump during visits to Moscow.
Russian scum!
Denied everything. He called it all fake news.
And he accused CNN of being fake news.
This is a national emergency.
If they kill Trump or remove Trump, it will cause a massive civil war in this country.
This is a FEMA high-level alert.
We are at war with Russia.
Are you aware that Mr. Stone also stated publicly that he was in direct communication with Julian Assange and WikiLeaks?
The White House and the president are citing Infowars.
They could shut us down. You're next.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance. It's Alex Jones.
Climb to the top of the food chain with Alpha Power by Infowars Life. For those who want to increase testosterone and energy levels. Most men know that testosterone levels begin to decline starting around 30 at a rate of about 1 to 2% per year. This drop can show signs such as fatigue, low energy, low sex drive, and muscle loss. Alpha Power is packed with some of the most potent and clinically tested ingredients on the market. The secret is in the synergistic blend of ancient ingredients that have been concentrated into their most potent forms, including Eurycoma longifolia, originally from Malaysia, maca root from Peru, horny goatweed from China, and tribulus from India. Reach your alpha male potential with Alpha Power. Head to InfoWarsLife.com and secure your bottle today.